Professor Anurag Kumar ji. मैं रजनीश जैन, Secretary UGC.
हाँ, नमस्कार.
Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for organizing it. Thanks for inviting me.
Manjul ji, namaskar.
Namaskar, ji. How are you? It's Manjul.
I'm good. How are you, Manjul ji? Yeah, thank you so much, and it's really very nice to have you.
Wonderful
being
to
on
hear.
our session here at Princeton. Yeah.
It's 4:30 a.m. here.
Rajnish ji, I heard that the presentation in terms of PowerPoint is not going to happen in session, so we have not really prepared. Is that correct, no?
Yes. Sir, it's okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We are not going with the presentations, so it will be only your verbal presentation, verbal discussion.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good, actually. That's good.
Yes, sir.
Can somebody call Dr. Vijay Raghavan?
Sir, we are doing that our end, sir. So we are trying to connect.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar. Can you hear me?
Namaskar, sir. Yes. Now we can hear you. We can see you. I think we can start the session, sir.
Please.
With your permission, sir.
Please.
Okay, sir. आप सभी का आज के दूसरे टेक्निकल सेशन में हार्दिक स्वागत है. A very good afternoon to all of you in the second technical section of the day. In the morning, we had inaugural session in which Honorable Prime Minister had addressed all of us, and he emphasized on how new education policy is contribute to social development, individual development, and the national development, and how it is a future-ready policy. We were fortunate to hear him in the morning session. After that, we in the first technical session, which was on holistic, multidisciplinary and futuristic education, we had Professor D.G. Singh, who chaired the session along with Professor Najma Akhtar, Vice Chancellor from Jamia University, Professor M.K. Sridhar, member Draft NEP Committee, and we had Professor E. Suresh Kumar from English and Foreign Language University. Now I welcome each one of you in the second technical session. And this technical session is going to focus more on research. So how to catalyze quality research. So I welcome the chairperson of the session, Professor K. Vijay Raghavan, and other speakers of the session, Professor Manju Bhargav, who is joining us from Princeton, and who is also a member committee for Draft NEP. We have Professor Bhushan Patwardhan with us, who is Vice Chairman, University Grants Commission, and Professor Anurag Kumar, is former Director, Indian Institute of Science. Although Professor Vijay Raghavan needs no introduction, but still I would like to briefly introduce you, sir. Currently, Professor Raghavan is Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India. He was instrumental in establishing the National Center for Biological Sciences at Bangalore under the aegis of Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. His fields of specialization are developmental biology, genetics, and neurogenetics. He also served as Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. And prior to that, he was Director of the National Center for Biological Sciences, Bangalore, where he continues as a distinguished professor. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and chairing this very important session. And now I hand over the session to you, sir, to take it over. To you, sir.
Thank you very, very much. It's a great pleasure to be here today with all of you. And I had, as all of you did, the pleasure of listening to the talks this morning from the Prime Minister, from the Honorable Minister for Education, the Minister for State, the Secretary Higher Education, and everyone else. This has been truly a very, very important day for education reform in the country, with the NEP going ahead with such enthusiasm and speed. One of the most important aspects of education is research. That is, education and research are closely connected with each other and feed to each other. Both will suffer. And if research suffers, the future of the country and indeed the planet suffers as much as if education suffers. Education alone without research is of no value, and research cannot go on without broad education. The principal challenge in our ecosystem with respect to research has been just that. Our research, even where it has been extraordinary, is not of a large enough scale of quality. And even when it has scaled with quality, it hasn't reached a very large part of our community. As it's often been said, 90% of our students go to state universities, and the university system there doesn't have sufficient research going on, with, again, notable exceptions. Colleges are in even more of a dire situation, and schools where the seeds of research need to be sown also do not have sufficient research and critical thinking over there, which is something which the NEP addresses substantially. It's often been said that the way to address this is by more resources. And there's no question that resources are important and essential, and there should be ways of increasing resources. But at the heart is a cultural issue. And the cultural issue is that of two kinds. One, you cannot have research unless it's deeply in our day-to-day practices and inspired by that. Even if you are an abstract mathematician, your environment inspires you. And you can be a great mathematician without links to your roots, but that requires extraordinary genius. We are missing out on the median population of brilliant mathematicians who will do very well with connection to their roots if we have an education system and a research system which is not connected to our roots. That connection to our roots comes from a cultural connect and also a language connect. And therefore, the language of research must be accessible to everyone, and everyone must be able to do research in languages. This poses a seemingly important challenge to us, which is not easily overcomable, but it can be overcome in today's world. It's possible to have every bit of your education and research done bilingually in English and your native language, so you can excel in the language of the world as well as excel in English for your research. So this is eminently feasible. But more fundamentally, it also requires a certain Atma-Vishwas, a self-assurance that you can take on big problems and a desire to take on big problems. And therefore, we need an integrative scheme by which people's self-confidence in research goes up, along with deep content and methodology being developed. So I will stop here. These are the important issues which we need to address. We have an extraordinary panel. Dr. Manjul Bhargav, professor of mathematics at Princeton University, has been spending a substantial part of his time in helping develop the NEP, the National Education Policy, and has worked with our team to develop the National Research Foundation documents, which are a critical aspect of the NEP. Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, the Deputy Chairman of the University Grants Commission, is a well-known researcher from Pune. He has got a great experience of research in an environment which is distant from the central government. And then we have Dr. Anurag Kumar, who till recently headed the over 100-year-old Indian Institute of Science, which about a few years ago, 5 years ago, started an undergraduate program. And but for its absence of significant work in humanities and social sciences is an icon for all of India to emulate. We need, many, many Indian Institutes of Science. So I will now move on to our Eminem panel and request Manjul ji to kick off with his views. Over to you, Manjul.
No, thank you very much, Vijayji. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, please, go
Can you
ahead.
hear me? Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Adarniya Shiksha Mantri Dr. Pokhriyal-ji, Secretary Shri Amit Khare-ji, UGC Chair Professor D.P. Singh-ji, UGC Secretary Rajneesh Jain-ji, Committee Chair Dr. Kasturi Rangan-ji, Co-Committee Member Professor M.K. Sridhar-ji, Co-panelists Professors Bhushan Patwardhan and Anurag Kumar-ji, PSA Professor Vijay Raghavan-ji, और आप सब उपस्थित विद्वानों और विद्यार्थियों को मेरा सादर नमस्कार। मुझे सभा में बोलने का अवसर देने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। Since the theme of this session is catalyzing quality research, I thought I would say a few words today about the need to create a vibrant culture of research across India's higher education system, as indeed is recommended by the National Education Policy. Homegrown research is truly the need of the hour. Quality research across the sciences, social sciences, humanities, arts, and more is desperately needed to enable India to reach new heights and to solve its own problems regarding water, sanitation, poverty, climate change, education, health, and more. Widespread quality research is also truly needed to achieve the goals of the Honorable Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. So I thought I'll start by summarizing where we are now in this journey, and then I'll say a little bit about what higher education institutions, and in particular the esteemed vice chancellors who are here with us today, can do to foster research cultures in their own institutions. And then finally, I'll talk about what the government can do to develop a culture of research across the nation. So first, where are we now? At the time of independence, a grave mistake was made in separating research from education. What has resulted today is that most students attend universities and colleges where little or no research takes place. And as Dr. Kasturi Ranganji noted earlier, one cannot have top-notch education where high-quality knowledge creation also does not take place. Indeed, as Vijayji just mentioned, today over 90% of our students and faculty in higher education are at state universities, where research is currently extremely limited. And this means that most PhDs in India, right, most of our faculty are at state universities, and that means most PhDs in India do not conduct research. And most students today, over 90% of them, study at universities that have few research opportunities. This is really a waste of talent. And it has resulted in India having far fewer researchers per lakh population than most other advanced countries. There are only about 15 researchers per lakh population in India, 15 out of every lakh, while there are about 111 per lakh in China, 423 per lakh in the United States, and 825 per lakh in Israel. India has only 15 per lakh. So a very stark difference. We must change this scenario as soon as is possible to bring India back to being a leader in research and innovation. This is very important. And this can only be done by bringing research back in a strong way across higher education institutions, not just the research institutions, but across all higher education institutions where all our PhDs work. So what can higher education institutions and their vice chancellors do to foster a culture of research in their institutions? Well, the most important initiatives are, and these are three of the most important initiatives that are described in the National Education Policy at the institutional level. First, institutions must encourage and empower faculty to innovate. Innovate in their teaching, innovate in their service, and innovate in their disciplines. They must be encouraged and empowered to innovate. Second, incentives must be given to faculty to innovate and to conduct research by way of promotions, strong tenure and tenure track systems, salary increases, reduced teaching, and of course, recognitions of outstanding work. This would help create an ecosystem where research and innovation are rewarded and appreciated. And third, students must be involved in the research process so that innovation and critical thinking gets seeded into their learning and into their personalities for life. So I earnestly request all higher education institutions and all vice chancellors to please go ahead and urgently make these 3 changes to the culture of their institutions. The country needs this as soon as possible. And then finally, what can the government do to support these initiatives and create a culture of research nationwide? For this purpose, the National Education Policy recommends the establishment of a National Research Foundation that will aim to seed, foster, mentor, and fund outstanding research at all higher education institutions, especially state universities, in a strong, merit-based, but equitable way. So the aim of the National Research Foundation will be to, first of all, fund competitive, peer-reviewed grant proposals of all types and across all disciplines in an equitable manner, across all geographic regions, types of universities and colleges, and socioeconomic groups and genders. Second, the aim of the NRF, National Research Foundation, will be to seed and grow and facilitate research at academic institutions, particularly at state universities and other universities and colleges where research is currently in a nascent stage, through the mentoring of such institutions by established researchers. Third, the NRF will aim to act as a link between researchers and relevant branches of government, as well as industry, so that research can be translated and implemented as soon as possible. At the current time in our ecosystem, there's a gap between researchers and government and industry. The NRF would function as a link among all 3 to get research implemented as fast as possible and to make researchers aware of what are the important problems for the country at the current time. And finally, the NRF, the National Research Foundation, will aim to recognize outstanding research and progress achieved via NRF funding and mentoring across subjects through prizes and special seminars, national seminars that recognize the work of the researchers, thereby further incentivizing innovation in the country. So this National Research Foundation, though funded by the government, would be governed by top researchers from across disciplines, independently of the government, in order to ensure that the research focus remains at the highest level and to ensure the highest integrity of the use of research funds. So in conclusion, given the immense talent within India, we believe that with these initiatives at the institutional and the national level, India can again reach great heights in research and innovation and move quickly towards becoming Atmanirbhar Bharat. So thank you so much. I think you're muted, Vijayji.
Thank you very, very much, Manjulji. This was very eloquently put about how one can take research and education together and the role of the National Research Foundation and how it is structured. A truly independent National Research Foundation is absolutely necessary to take this agenda to completion, and I'm sure that that will happen very soon. I now move on to Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan for his comments. Bhushan?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vijay. I will start with a good news. Dr. Vijay Raghavan, as our principal scientific advisor, I think the first step is moving in the right direction. I think that is happening. So I just wanted to give you some data from Web of Science. So India was ranked by research publication volume. I am happy to tell you has increased from 9th in the last decade to 5th in 2019. The global baseline for share of articles in Q1 and Q2 journals, which is about 73%, and Indian academia document share has increased from 57% to 62% in 2019 with CNCI 0.81. What does this mean is category normalized citation impact, global average, which is 1, India is moving towards it. And all the highest seems to be in UK academia, which is about 1.47. Our immediate goal in India should aim to cross 1. When I say this, as Dr. Manjul Bhargav rightly pointed out, in India, the academia and research institutes are divided. So when I have a look at CNCI of academia and research institute, the message is very loud and clear that academia has actually done much better even than standalone research institutes. And in this, obviously, in the top in the rank is Indian Institute of Science, AIMS, and a couple of IITs. But IIT Roorkee and University of Delhi, as well as IIT Bombay, have already crossed CNCI 1, which is a very, very good and powerful sign, which is that we are going in the right direction. And others are on the verge of really crossing that barrier. When I come to universities, I must tell you that although universities are encountering several problems, and I'm happy to see several vice chancellors here, they are also struggling very hard to attend these problems. Despite all these limitations and problems, universities in India have done fairly well, I would say. Top in the list, of course, is University of Delhi with CNCI 1.03, and followed by Banaras Hindu University, Jadavpur University, Vellore Institute of Technology, Anna University, Manipal Academy, Punjab University. Punjab University actually has CNCI 1.25, which is really excellent. University of Kolkata is there, Aligarh Muslim University, JNU, University of Hyderabad. These are some of the shining examples. And some of the state affiliating universities also, to me, have done a remarkable job, because we must understand that when a university is having hundreds of affiliating colleges, it is very challenging to really strengthen and promote this kind of a research. And Dr. Vijayaraghavan rightly mentioned that it's the issue of research culture, and not only resources. So from that perspective, I just wanted to now come to what kind of research support schemes are available. So I must tell you that India probably is the only country, and Dr. Vijay may correct me or Dr. Manjul, but I have not seen any other country where such a huge number of research fellowships are given by the government. For instance, UGC, CSR, NET, JRF, 10,000 fellowships are available. There are, in addition to this, there are 5,000 fellowships available for SC, OBC, minority category doing PhD. At the same time, postgraduate scholarship of about 8,000 are available. For Northeast, Ishan Uday, undergraduate scholarships are about 10,000, and research fellowships are available in addition to what I have told you from ICSSR, AICTE, DBT, DST, DAE, ICR, etc. In addition, there are several research grant schemes, by various departments and various councils. And the Ministry of Education also is hosting many innovative research grants such as Spark, Imprint with ICSSR, Gyan with IIT, STAR with Indian Institute of Science, and STRIDE, which is actually the in-house UGC program, for which I will just talk a little bit sometime later. But we hope that National Research Foundation will bring convergence of all this which is happening and improve the efficiency of the whole system. Now, at the UGC, we were also concerned about how to improve quality of research, because all of us know that quality of research in Indian universities, especially the PhD research, has been a big problem. And so Balaram committee worked very hard on that, and they have given certain recommendations regarding research capacity building as well as how to promote research culture. So they have talked about improving classroom pedagogy, curriculum and system assessment, developing writing skills, research aptitude and awareness, improving the peer review culture even within the institutes, promoting academic integrity, remedial teaching, exposure to centers of excellence, a workshop to exchange ideas, use of technology and media platforms, and some kind of internships for PhD students, including policy internships. They also have given a lot of recommendations regarding faculty, faculty recruitments, because many universities are facing this problem of faculty crunch. Many posts are vacant. So this kind of a faculty recruitment drive, which will help, then seed grants for new faculty, sabbatical leave, postdoctoral fellowships. We have to increase number of postdoctoral fellowships, because US, as we know, a majority of their strengths of research have come through PDFs. The travel grants, the annual faculty research conclave, teaching assistantships, and while doing PhD, many students do undertake teaching, and new education policy talks about this and opens up those opportunities of teaching assistantship while you are doing PhD. Then performance-based strengthening of existing schemes such as universities with potential for excellence or Department of Special Assistance and things like that, as well as inter-institutional collaboration. We many times talk about international collaborations, but it is also important that inter-institutional collaboration within India is very important. And they have also talked about giving new positions like Dean of Research to facilitate the whole thing, and improving linkages between colleges and universities. Because in this pyramid of higher education, the base of the pyramid actually is state universities and colleges. So the linkage of this base with the top of the pyramid is very, very important. When I give you this background, now I come to little dark side of it. What has happened during last couple of years, somehow, because of some regulatory requirements or because of some compulsions, research was looked as some kind of a qualification like PhD, which will make them eligible for certain jobs, including teaching jobs. And so there was a huge pressure, or I would say desperation, to do research. So research was not necessarily done because of the curiosity driven or because of the interest driven mode, but it was more for compelling some kind of a mandatory provisions, which has led to the desperation of research. So research degree became mere eligibility qualification requirements, or maybe in some cases, and this is really, we have to address this issue. I have seen in many universities, students are going to post-graduation and then to PhD just to postpone their unemployment. So PhD fellowships also sometimes seen as a livelihood measure. So these are the issues we have to address and see what best can be done. The rigor of research needs to be properly addressed to. The academic integrity and publication ethics has become a major problem in India. As you know, majority of the poor quality publications coming out from India are getting in predatory journals. So to address this issue, UGC has come out with academic and research ethics, Consortium for Academic and Research Ethics, now known as CARE. So UGC CARE has come out with a list of quality journals, which we hope that universities are using in an increasingly number, and quality of new recruitments as well as quality of PhD research will go up. We are also in a process very soon to publish a document called Good Academic Research Practices. So these good practices will be soon published, which will help the universities to improve their quality of research as well as cultivate and nurture the research culture within their universities. Lastly, I would say that transdisciplinary research is going to be very important, not just STEM-related research, but humanities and social sciences are equally important. And for that purpose, UGC has come out with scheme for transdisciplinary research for India's developing economy. This actually has three components. One is in research capacity building, other is in social innovation and research in national development, and third is in high impact research in humanities and human sciences. We hope that this will help the Atmanirbhar Bharat and stimulate research which is local, need-based, nationally important, and globally significant. ICSSR has come out with a scheme called Impress, which is also receiving a lot of important attention, and a lot of projects which are related to national and social issues in India are being supported. I would now actually stop my presentation, but I would be really open for more question answers if they come for. My last point is, while we improve research quality and try to really inculcate research culture right from the beginning, we also have to give very, very serious attention for compromise research ethics, which India is really looked upon by the world. And I hope that with the new initiative, and I'm happy that PSA office has come out with a new policy on research ethics and scientific research and academic integrity. With all this, I'm sure with NEP, we will move in right direction we are already in, but more rapidly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan. That was a very valuable summary of what is happening now in our ecosystem, but also where we need to go, what are our strong points, what are our stress points, and how we need to address that. Research ethics and research quality both need to be strengthened substantially, and that's something which is good to see going forward. Dr. Anurag Kumar.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to speak here. I have just completed 6 years as the head of the ISC, and a lot of what I'm going to say today will be from the perspective I've developed during these years and even before that. It's already been said by Professor Vijay Raghavan and the others in this panel how important research is as an integral part of a university. Not only does research lead to knowledge creation, but research also helps us teach better. I know that I'm a better teacher because I have the research area that I teach in. Finally, in terms of conducting effective research in universities, and we already heard some figures from Dr. Burton, culture is all about culture. So I'm going to address culture in 4 different areas. In fact, I had slides which I had prepared, but I'll speak from my slides. I want to discuss culture in 4 areas. These 4 areas are the culture of research funding, the culture of faculty evaluation, the industry-academia interaction culture, and finally, the local ecosystem that the university exists in. The ecosystem in the university and around the university. I think all of these matter to promote high-quality research in a university. Let me start by the culture of research funding. I'm going to say a few things that when we set up the NRF, when we fund research in our country, we should adhere to these principles. We should base funding decisions only on the scientific quality of proposals. No other consideration should be brought to bear when funding proposals. The funding provided must be sufficient to support the proposed work and should be given to the researcher in at most 1 or 2 installments. All projects must be evaluated for quality output. Poorly performing PIs must not be easily funded again. We should fund high-risk research rather than routine established incremental topics. The NSF in the US has a very important practice of developing emerging research topics through intense expert workshops, which are held near NSF somewhere in the US. And this should be adopted. So by this process, we should weed out the more incremental and traditional topics and bring in new topics to fund through our funding ecosystem. Also, a very important system that is there in many other parts of the world is the startup grants. When a new assistant professor starts working in a university, he or she should not have to run around to get large amounts of money to begin their work. ISC recognized this quite some time back, and in recent years, we have actually been giving grants as large as 3 to 4 crores if a new faculty member requires them. Now, it is very challenging to do this. So I would like, if possible, that either the NRF or the MHRD can bring in provisions by which, just like they fund scholarships, they can also fund startup grants for new faculty members. I move on to the next topic of the process of researcher evaluation. It's very well known that people shape their working styles to conform to the evaluation criteria. Are heavily towards just counting. You count publications, you count the number of PhDs you produced, you count the number of awards and fellowships you have, and the counting goes on and on. Further, we only respect individual contribution. We don't respect the fact that people can work in groups and contribute a lot. And in fact, this criterion even pervades the way we evaluate people for awards and fellowships. In fact, it has become such that a young assistant professor is faced with 12 short-term goals in terms of these young scientists and Bhatnagar Awards and so on and so, rather than have the sights set on long-term, highly risky goals. So hence, the faculty members that I've seen around tend to work for these short-term goals, piling up counts rather than really looking for some risky problems to work on. Also, people tend to avoid collaborations because collaborations take them away from the immediate task of producing one more paper. If you collaborate, it takes time, you have to travel, you have to deal with different cultures, and so somehow we don't respect the culture of collaboration, which is so important for doing good work nowadays. You also need to find ways to assess impact rather than volume. We tend to respect volume too much. This is not easy to do. IISc began a system of only asking for 5 papers from the candidates who apply for jobs or who apply for a promotion. IISc also started a system of tenure review several years back, and today our systems are aligned just as with the way things are done in other countries. Assistant professors go through 3 or 4 reviews before they come up for a tenure peer review. The third point I want to address is the importance of government, industry, academia interaction. This triangle, which is so strong in many countries, including countries to the east of us, is fairly weak in our country. We pride ourselves on the information technology industry, but this is primarily a service industry. You don't have to look very far. Look at the US, even look at China, where companies like Baidu and Tencent and Alibaba have far exceeded our own information technology industry and are driving AI, ML, and so on in that country, whereas we are still struggling to build our own products here. The fourth point that I'd like to address, my last point, is the importance of the local ecosystem. The ecosystem extends from the laboratory to the institution to the local city which the institution resides in. You must insist that all laboratories are 100% safe. All equipment runs. All equipment has spare parts and maintenance contracts and have consumables supplied so that the assistant professor, the professor, does not have to stop the work because of the lack of an equipment or an equipment breakdown. Second thing is that the kind of support that the best institutions in the world provide for the faculty is not available to our faculty here. I was looking at the Caltech website. 300 faculty members have almost 4,000 support staff, including postdocs, of course. In MIT, 1,000 faculty members have about 12,000 staff working for them. All very professional. Everybody does what they're supposed to do. Things just work. So we must give our top faculty, our top class faculty, the uninterrupted, deep thinking time that they would need and support their work in the best possible way. Only then can we get the best out of the young faculty whom we hire from the best places around the world. Finally, it's very important that the local academia, research lab, and industry work together. I'll just give you my last point here, a quote from what I just read about Boston when I was preparing for this talk. One key factor in Boston's rise in biotechnology is the area's academic resources, which are second to none. Harvard Medical School, MIT Whitehead Institute, MIT's Computational Assistant Biology Laboratory, Tufts, so on. Boston's many universities are a talent pipeline, and most of the area's biotech company founders are graduates or professors from Harvard, MIT, or the top universities. Besides that, laboratories and universities, Boston's biotech industry, are also backed up by laboratories and hospitals and large pharma companies. Having top hospitals not only provides more research facilities, but also more disease study opportunities. There are many stories like this. You can go to Melbourne, you can go to Austin, you can go to the Bay Area. I think Delhi and Bangalore and Pune should become I think the PSA already has a vision like that, strong clusters of industry, academia, and research laboratories. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anurag Kumar. This has been very valuable, particularly your comparison with global benchmarks and how we can attain them over here. I'd like to now ask a couple of interventions. Three people have asked for interventions. The Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University, then the Vice Chancellor of Central University, Hyderabad, and then the VC of Punjab University, Chandigarh. VC Tezpur, please. VC Tezpur University. Well, if he's not ready, then Professor Appa Rao from Central University, Hyderabad.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Professor Vijayaraghavan, for giving us an opportunity to share the platform. And we are extremely happy to be participating in this particular session, which talks about catalyzing policy research. And I'm sure as Manjul Bhargav has narrated about the National Research Foundation that has been planned to guide and monitor the research from one single platform. And I'm sure this platform is going to make efforts during the implementation time, coordination between the science funding agencies, a lot of them, DSV, DPT, ICMR, ICR, and CSR, etc., as they have a larger mandate to address the scientific research and to identify whether the National Research Foundation will cater to the universities only or for other research institutes and IITs and NITs and all other institutes are also is something which I may be clarified through the process. And in our opinion, there is a need to set national priorities of when we are setting up some goals for the National Foundation.
I don't know.
And also, it will be useful to have a special team to motivate.
Sorry to interrupt, Appa Rao. Can everyone else please go on mute?
Unmute, okay? Mute.
Dr. Appa Rao, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, sir. We feel that it is better to set, it may be useful to set national priorities of social relevance and also the research culture that you, Professor Vijayaraghavan, has emphasized and also has been talked about by Anurag a few minutes before, to put a special team to motivate, guide, and handhold young researchers across the universities. And we should also find a way to avoid significant overlap in the research that happens in different institutions. And when it comes to the research culture, which is a very important issue that you have highlighted and also Anurag has highlighted, it's not that easy in universities to emulate the culture that we have in institutes like Institute of Science, like NCBS, like JNC, all these centers where the research culture is inbuilt. And in spite of all that, and I'm very happy to see that Bhushan Patwardhan has highlighted about the certain universities which have done so well so far, crossing certain benchmarks, and we are happy that we are also part of that Hyderabad. And as an institution today, we are looking beyond certain things like we have already experimented and we have got.
Sorry to interrupt again. Can others who are not speaking kindly mute your microphone? Thank you. Over to you, Appa Rao.
Thank you. As an institution of eminence, now we are looking a little beyond the other the efforts that we have made so far. As an institution to build the research culture, we have started encouraging youngsters with startup grants and international travel support, and also to some extent some project grants through the potential for excellence programs and all. And we have been cautious in inducting the right kind of faculty, and we are encouraging enough of collaborations both within India and abroad. And some of these
Thank
things
you, Dr.
have
Appa Rao. I have to interrupt now.
Yes.
Dr. Appa Rao, I have to interrupt now. If you don't mind, we will move on to Punjab University VC as we have just a couple of minutes left, and I want to give him an opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very, very much for your intervention.
Right.
VC Punjab University, please. Punjab University VC, आप हैं? Rajkumar ji. राजकुमार जी, आप हैं? कौन ने बताया था कि आप कुछ कहना चाहते हैं?
हेलो
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 हेलो, कहिए।
राघवन साहब, आप सुन रहे हैं हमें? आर यू लिसनिंग?
जरूर, हाँ, यस यस यस, जरूर जरूर।
You are listening. Okay. Thank you very much, Raghavan sir, for giving me the opportunity. Yet very quickly, I will sum up the entire thing by my observation in this regard. I am very happy with this NEP 2020. The reason being that since I am a management student, I observed that the entire policy framework is full of the opportunity, and it would be a fundamental shift from the in the different domain of the primary education to the higher research institutions. I will start the number one thing from which our honorable Prime Minister of India touched. Now it is now our part to look into that. अब हमको जो है इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पार्ट को हमको देखना है, क्योंकि यहाँ पर जितने जो है एकेडमिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर वाइस चांसलर्स हैं, नाउ इट इज टाइम टू डिलीवर. अब हमको काम करके दिखाने की जरूरत है, एंड फॉर दैट पर्पस देयर मस्ट बी वेरी कंप्लीट, वेरी एग्रेसिव टाइप ऑफ strategy for getting the work done. Number one. Number two is that for getting the work done to achieve the target, we have to very clear roadmap. और जब हम रोड मैप की बात करेंगे तो हमारे विजन जो है एकदम क्लियर होनी चाहिए कि पर्टिकुलर यूनिवर्सिटी के थ्रस्ट पॉइंट क्या है, उनको क्या करना है. फॉर एग्जांपल, माय यूनिवर्सिटी इज वेरी रिच इन द रिसर्च एंड इनोवेशन. तो अगर इसके अलावा हम कहीं दूसरे पर हम शिफ्ट करेंगे तो निश्चित रूप से हम उतना बढ़िया नहीं कर पाएंगे, बिकॉज वी नीड अ लॉट ऑफ अदर रिसोर्सेज. But it doesn't mean I am ignoring the other discipline of knowledge. The next thing that I want to tell you, sir, now I fully agree with the opinion given by Honorable Prime Minister. Now it is the time to think over the autonomy. And if you are talking at the autonomy, then at the same time, your responsibility goes more ahead in terms of the quality. हमको जो वर्ल्ड के जो वर्ल्ड फेम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है उसमें अपना नाम दर्ज करना पड़ेगा. मैं इस सभा के माध्यम से कहना चाहूंगा कि ऑर्गेनाइजर प्रोफेसर डीपी सिंह साधुवाद के पात्र हैं, कितना बढ़िया आयोजन किए. और हमारे माननीय एचआरडी मिनिस्टर प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर पोखरियाल साहब का भी हम लोगों को शुक्रगुजार होना चाहिए कि इतनी बड़ी गैदरिंग पहली बार शायद हो रही है इतिहास में. और अंत में हमें कहना चाहेंगे सर, ह्यूमैनिटीज के चूंकि हम स्टूडेंट हैं, ये जो मेघालय की जो शिक्षा व्यवस्था थी, now we will, the next generation will forget that. So it is really a very strong step in the on the way of the आत्मनिर्भर भारत. अब हम सबको इकट्ठे होकर के भारत को आत्मनिर्भर जो भी हमारे रिसोर्सेज हैं उनके माध्यम से आगे बढ़ने की जरूरत है. थैंक यू वंस अगेन प्रोफेसर राघवन साहब फॉर गिविंग मी अपॉर्चुनिटी. थैंक यू सो मच. पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय परिवार आप सभी लोगों को बहुत धन्यवाद देता है. और इस पॉलिसी का हमारा पूरा पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय, हम एकदम जो है यहाँ पर पाकिस्तान के एकदम नजदीक हम लोग हैं, फिर भी बेस्ट हम कर रहे हैं. हम पटवर्धन साहब का भी धन्यवाद देंगे कि उन्होंने जो है हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी का नाम लिया. वाकई में हमारी रेटिंग बहुत अच्छी है, हमारे वैज्ञानिक बहुत अच्छे हैं. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you very much. We have to close now. I'll just ask one brief comment. Professor Manish Kaji from NIT Trichy, do you have any comments to make? Because I'd like to hear from a diverse set of people from multiple locations, and your views as a leading institution would be very valuable. Professor Saji. You're on mute, Professor Shaji.
Can you hear me now, Professor?
Yes.
Okay. My request is all institutions should start collaborating with industry, start with faculty and student exchange with industry, and then later on move on to an MOU, or with research institutions for projects and consultancy, and we should open doors to industry to use our institutional facilities, which will facilitate more research and will lead into collaborative research leading to high quality publications along with industry and research organization, which is missing here.
Thank you very much. The industry link is well taken. We have to conclude our session, but we will carry on discussions on these topics with all of you separately. I'd like to thank my fellow panelists, Professor Manjul Bhargav, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, and Professor Anurag Kumar. Thank you all very, very much. Namaskar.
I think without loss of time, let us start with the next session. Welcome to the session 3, equitable use of technology for better reach in education. I think since morning, we have been listening to and watching to eminent experts in this very, very exciting conclave on the transformational reforms in higher education, starting from the Honorable Prime Minister himself, our HRD Minister, Minister of State, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, the architect of this policy, Mr. Amit Khare, the Secretary, Dr. Manjul Bhargava, Dr. K. Sridhar, who were part of the committee of this particular national education policy formation, and also all other vice chancellors, educationists who are amongst us. I think it's been a game-changing, holistic, inclusive, participative, innovative policy with a strong commitment to meeting the expectations of the youth of our country, and as rightly pointed out by the Prime Minister in the morning, also to provide our talent and technology to the entire globe, whole world. We have amongst us 3 eminent educationists and heads of the institutions, Dr. Bhaskar Ram Murthy, the Director of IIT Madras, Professor Nageshwar Rao, Vice Chancellor of IGNOU, Professor Mini Shiji Thomas, who is the Director of NIT Trichy. This NEP 2020 has already been approved by the cabinet. It has become part of us now. And we all know what is that, what is the content of the policy, why it has been done. We have been listening to it since morning, but how do we implement it? See, this implementation is the most important part of it. And both the Honorable Prime Minister as well as our HRD Minister and Secretary talked about implementation needs to be done is in the mission mode, whether it is SWOT analysis, whether it is strategy, whether it is roadmap, whether it is what resources are to be used, timelines, and I think even regular review and course correction if and when needed. But interestingly, during this COVID-19 times, lockdowns taught us many lessons, leveraging and use of technology. See, online education, which was hardly used earlier, became prevalent. And often we are talking about post-COVID era, how do we conduct our online education? Equitable use of technology, which we are talking about in this particular participation of the 3 participants. I think very important thing is, I was looking at the different chapters, right from chapter 6 as well as the chapter 14, where there is talk about equity and inclusiveness. But more importantly, you take all chapters of higher education, they have some connect or the other with use of technology in some way or the other. So when we talk about equitable access with equity, whether it is access to all social sectors, whether it is deprived sections of the society, whether it is in terms of gender, whether it is in terms of Divyangas, that is physically challenged ones, poor and the remote areas, aspirational districts, I think that is very important in terms of access and equity. When we talk about equitable use of technology, which technology, how it is made available to all, or for getting the best quality education to almost all the areas. I think there are various challenges, and therefore I would like my 3 expert panelists to throw light on all of these issues, especially not only about what they have done during the previous times, but also what is important is immediately after this policy is now announced, how do we take it forward? What is that implementation that we need to do? So we will start off with Dr. Bhaskar Ram Murthy. But before that, I think I will introduce all three panelists, which is important. Dr. Bhaskar Ram Murthy is a BTech from IIT Madras. His master's PhD from University of California, Santa Barbara in electronics engineering, electrical engineering. And he's worked for Bell Laboratories for a quite while and then returned to his own alma mater, IIT Madras, and he's been a faculty continuously there. And he is in the second term of being the director of IIT Madras. And one of the important contributions is development of research park for industry institute interaction, which he has developed is very, very significant. The next panelist is Professor Nageshwar Rao, currently the Vice Chancellor of IGNOU, but he has been the Vice Chancellor of three other universities, Uttarakhand Open University, Kumaon University, Nainital, and also of Rajarshi Tandon Open University. And with his rich experience of three universities, now he is in a distance education university, that is IGNOU. So he will be our second panelist. The third panelist is Dr. Mini Shaji Thomas, another very erudite and very passionate educationist, BTech from University of Kerala with gold medal, Masters from IIT Madras, again with a gold medal, PhD from IIT Delhi. So she has seen three different types of institutions, started working in different universities and various institutions, but finally in Jamia Millia, she has established a Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, so important for our nation for today. And she has been a faculty member earlier in Delhi College of Engineering, REC, that is NIT Calicut, and also Jamia, and she is now in NIT as a director. I think with this short introduction of each of these panelists, may I request now Professor Bhaskar Ram Murthy to give his opinion about the new national education policy and how this topic we will be covering as implementation strategy and plan.
Thank you. Am I audible? Am I visible?
Yeah, you are visible and audible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Sahasrabudhe. Greetings to all those who are on this conference, conclave across the country and indeed from across the world. It's amazing how we are able to do so much with so little because of what the circumstances have taught us. The focus of this session is on the use of technology. Primarily, I think we mean online, distance education technology, online tools. Though there could be other technologies that play a role in education, but let's sort of assume that this is what the focus is. With 45 minutes, let's not expand our scope too much. And in the context of the NEP, as Professor Sahasrabudhe pointed out, I think this in the times at which we are in, where technology is, particularly communications technology is, I think it has a big role to play across the board in implementing the NEP. As he pointed out, on everything from inclusivity, equity, to giving the flexibility to students to learn where they are, whenever they want, given all the constraints that they face in their living situation, finances, whatever. Third, accessing in a country which is a growing country, population is growing, demands are growing, resources are constrained, accessing the best teaching teachers so to make them available to the largest possible student. We all are teachers. Many of us sitting here are teachers. We all know that while all of us can do a reasonable job, some of us seem to have been born to the job. As students, I remember certain teachers still vividly. I remember their classes. I remember that I can hear them speak. And some of us leave a similar impression on our students, but not all. We have to admit that. So there are some teachers who are simply superb, to say the least. And I think we should use these technology to try to make them available to the largest possible student population. And the third is the importance of, because of the time, what we want to achieve in the shortest possible time, to get to the GER of 50% by 2035 is not a small target. Unless you use every trick in the trade, everything available to you with the given resources, it's not doable. So on all these aspects, I think the technology or online education has to play a big role. Let me just use the remaining few minutes to, I don't want to get into details, but I want to share with you 3 ideas, all born from experience that we already had. These are not ideas that, except in the end where I'll talk about some things that might or might not work. These are all ideas that are already working to some degree. Not to say that they cannot be improved and tremendous innovations cannot be made, just that these are not, these are not ideas that are still on the drawing board. The first is that I think many younger faculty particularly, but not necessarily, in various institutions across the country had realized over the last few years that while they do continue with their regular face-to-face teaching with their classes, some small to medium to large, 25 all the way to 100 sometimes, they recognize that that using online education tools in parallel can enhance the value of their of what they offer to their students tremendously. But the forced online teaching across the board, which has happened since April because of the pandemic, has brought this realization to everybody. That's been the big difference. So some of the feedback we got from our students in this period was that even when they come back to the campus, they would like the faculty to record the lectures, they'd like them to upload them. Some of them said that they are the kind of student who tends to get distracted and lose track. Earlier, they used to just lose the entire class. Now they can go back. Second, some others said language is always a problem for them. The ability to go back and listen makes a big difference. Third one said that faculty uploading their notes as well as the lectures means they don't have to worry about taking notes. They can listen intently. So there are all kinds of reasons by which the use of these tools in parallel to the regular teaching actually enhances the class tremendously. And of course, distributing tutorials, having chat sessions, whatever, I don't want to get into details, but I think the entire gamut is available, including simple things like WhatsApp groups. It just connects students to teacher. So I think all of these are now available. There's a plethora of tools. Every faculty member who's using these has their own positive story and favorite tool. I think we should allow all of this to flourish. This is one message I want to share, that it's a great enhancer beyond chalk. And we should, it's also very relatively inexpensive for what it achieves. So we should really, and from the student side, for most of all of this, they need only the phone. The second is, I would say, something that we've been trying across the country, a lot of institutions partnering together, which is the last 4 years we've been running the MOOCs programs under NPTEL, mostly for engineering institutions, but also for science and arts and science colleges to some extent. Thousands of colleges are working with several institutions to bring the best teachers to a huge audience. The audience now numbers about 1.5 million to 2 million every semester. And 300 or 400 teachers are being brought to them. The feedback from students, even those who are just auditing these courses, is that it really, is that many of them just do it because they love the teaching. Okay, not all of these teachers are spectacular, but some of them are, and that's the aspect that I alluded to earlier. So, and we are also taking it all the way. We are having proctored exams at the end. So many institutions are also transferring some credits for these courses. More importantly, we are partnering with the teachers who are doing face-to-face teaching for the students in their own institutions, partnering with them, making what is being done through these MOOCs complementary to what they do, and getting them also to contribute now in the tutorials and problem solving and other things. So it's a large combined effort. It's not a top-down broadcasting effort. And there's a lot of, you can do actually good PhDs on this now, on what's working, what's not working, and how it's working, and so on. There's so much data available from the last 3 years, because we're talking about 2,000 odd institutions, 2 million students a semester, 200,000 to 250,000 taking exams, and lots of data on what's working and what's not working. This is something that can be used in order to, as I said, bring the best to the largest possible audience, working in partnerships, making up for resource constraints at various places at given time, and bringing the best resources could be anywhere. It is not necessarily only at the so-called elite institutions. So whoever is doing a good job, just like talent comes up to the and they make it to the cricket test team, no matter where they are in the country today. It's not only from Bombay and Chennai, as it used to be in the olden days. I think we should enable that in this second major mode. The third thing is a little bit more forward-looking, and that is online degrees. At the master's level, it's already being done. Many institutions are doing it in various kinds. I think here you're talking about people who already know what it is, who are already graduates, whatever they needed to learn from peer-to-peer learning in a regular brick and mortar institution, they've already got it. This is upskilling, acknowledging. This is something they can do. We are doing it with people in industry completely without any face-to-face. They don't need laboratory training. They're already, they're working in industry. So you can do this in engineering. You can do this in management. You can do this in many things. I'm not talking about that. What about undergraduate education? I'm not even going to talk to school education because I think that's going to be very, very dicey. We don't really know what is required to educate a child. But what about undergraduate education? Certainly, one can start off by saying that there is a certain aspect of peer-to-peer learning and learning by doing and learning by in groups in presence of similar people to you, which you need to have. Whether you have it by going to a college or whether you do it some other way in the future is open, but there's no doubt about it. But given that that is required, nobody is denying that. What can be done through online methods for giving degrees? So for some disciplines, it seems a little easier to try the experiment because you don't need laboratories, you don't need hands-on. The hands-on can be done on a computer. So, for example, IIT Madras has just launched an ambitious BSc in programming and data science. We'll have to wait to see for 3 or 4 years to see how well it works, but we think we can pull it off. But going forward, I think there are many disciplines where this can be similarly attempted. The low-hanging fruit seems to be there. A few disciplines are there. But going forward, I think it may be possible, even in disciplines where we think today off the cuff that it's not going to be possible, like the sciences or engineering. You could imagine, today you have commercial centers where you can conduct exams throughout the country with integrity and all the tools available. You could think of laboratories and workshops that are available across the country where experiments can be conducted, teaching can be done, and which can be used by anybody, booked by anybody and used. So you could think of online programs for science, engineering, and so on, which use all these resources spread out throughout the country. But students really don't go to any campus and don't go to any brick and mortar type of situation. Regarding peer-to-peer learning, you could think again of entities that actually give you soft skills, peer-to-peer learning and peer-to-peer engagement and so on, also in your localities, and a certain trained set of people who do that. So these are very, very early ideas, sounds crazy, but we don't know what will work, right? Certainly the low-hanging fruit, it looks like can be done, but I think more will probably emerge in the next 5 to 10 years. And this may be vital to get our 50% GER with high quality and relatively low per capita expenditure. The last point I want to make is regarding the connectivity itself. All of this assumes that you have got good connectivity. And I want to remind you that just a few days back, we celebrated 25 years of mobile telephony in India. Everybody is reminded that 25 years ago, the first mobile call was made in the country at 14 rupees 80 paise a minute, both for incoming and outgoing. And until then, there were only less than 10 million people who ever had a phone other than the commercial establishments. And we have come from there to the point where everybody has a phone, but not everybody has internet connectivity, and not everybody has good internet connectivity. But even the 50 or 60% of people who have good internet connectivity has happened in the last 4 years. I don't think it's going to take more than another 4 or 5 years to ensure that everybody, everywhere in the country has reasonably good internet connectivity for online education. I think that'll happen because just the way the technology is moving, the way it's becoming affordable, I think that's going to happen. And the policy, the technology policy of the country, the digital communications policy of the country, similar to the NEP, is also very clear that target is very much an important target. Carpet coverage with good enough internet connectivity for important things like education and so on. So we can assume that will happen. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it's a real shame. Once that happens, still, as educationists, we have to worry about how to deliver. And that's the part that I talked about briefly till now. I think I'll stop now. And if there are questions at the end, I'll take it. Otherwise, you can send me email. This topic is an evergreen topic, so we can talk about it. Thank you. Professor Sahasrabudhe, I have done. Yeah.
as far as the undergrad degrees are concerned, I think there are still challenges as far as full online degrees are concerned. But certainly, masters, PhD, or standby, or additional, studies, or even 20%, 40% credits of the course being taken in. I think these are all possibilities. But full online degree is still a long way to go, because whether it is sports, arts, culture, dance, drama, music, human relations, I think ethics, values, they will all come from human interaction. And therefore, I think brick and mortar models will continue and should continue also for some more time at least. The next one is also Vice Chancellor of an open university, and therefore his views on this particular topic, how do we reach everyone? Professor Nageshwar Rao, may I ask you to now take over?
Good noon to all of you. Honorable Chairperson Anil Sahasrabudhe, distinguished panelists. First of all, I thank the UGC for giving me an opportunity to be with you this noon. We have to increase the GER, and that to 50% by 2035. And open and distance learning and the online learning, it has to play an important role in this context. As of now, only 10% of the total enrollment is being contributed by the ODL system. Of course, there are 15 open universities and around 80 dual mode institutions. But already the ball is set for rolling. We are now having the ODL regulations. We are now having the online regulations. We are having a SWAYAM platform established way back in 2016. We are having Swayam Prabha channels from 2017. And so many things we have done during the last 3 to 4 years. And maybe all these things, they give us a hope that yes, we can achieve the target which has been stipulated by our policymakers and the planners. I am going to present my brief in two parts. Initially, I would like to talk about the way of the ODL and online learning process. There, I would like to put mainly the e-resources. E-resources, they're going to play an important role. Then the course-based intervention, that is the SWAYAM. Then delivery mechanism, that is also to be made fast. And lastly, the evaluation. Then once we look at the e-resources, we see that we are having abundant human resource, abundant e-resources. The e-resources you will find, they are having with National Digital Library. Look at the quantum of e-resources there. Around 5 crore books are available, e-books are available. And the users are around 26 lakhs. During this COVID-19 period, looking into it. And they have found that most of the e-resources, they are in local languages also. So that can also be, even NPTEL is also having their e-resource. Shodhganga, EPG Pathshala, and even IGNOU is also having e-Gyan Code. What we see in all those cases, that there is one link which the MHRD and UGC is planning. And through that one-stop portal, they can have all these e-resources at one place and get connected to this huge e-resources which are available free of cost to the learners. Mobile app is one more area wherein we can reach to our learners with these e-resources. IGNOU is also having a mobile app, and at present around 6 lakh learners. They can look at all the available courses which the IGNOU is having. We are also around 200 courses with us, and all those courses, they are being simply downloaded from the Google Play Store with their mobile. The delivery mechanism, because once we are having the e-resources, then we have to look into that, how the delivery mechanism, it can be made faster. And here in this context, what we see is that Swayam Prabha, it is coming up in a big way. There are 32 Swayam Prabha channels, 33. And you see that they have got a wide spectrum of all these channels. NPTEL is having 10 channels. they talk about the technology engineering courses. Then UGC and the CEC, they are also having 10 channels dealing with PG and UG courses. IGNOU is also having 4 channels dealing with certificate and diploma courses. NCRT, NIOS, and the IIT Paul, 4 channels there for competitive examination. What you see that they all are available at the home of the learners. 33 dish TV channels. Even the government is also planning that let these dish TV, it can be extended to other carriers like the Tata Sky, and maybe if it is being extended to this Doordarshan, then its reach will be much, much more. Recently, one more intervention has been taken place, that is translating that material, translating those videos into the local languages. And the process is on at a faster pace. Initially, the MHRD has planned to have it in 8 languages. And maybe they are planning to have it by the end of this August. By the end of this August, all those important courses, at least out of those 3,000 courses, 2,000 or 1,000, they can be in the 8 regional languages. Regional languages means we are now reaching the learners at a in their own language, so that understand and learn the things at a faster pace. Then we look into the other modes. Rightly, IIT Madras director has said that our Facebooks, they can also be used extensively. And Facebooks, if you see, that we have used those Facebook sessions comprehensively. During this COVID-19 period, we could have 240 discipline-based courses, and we have reached to around 42 lakh learners during this period of 3 months. Of course, the viewership is more than 8 lakh. And in addition to that, we are having online counseling sessions through the 56 regional centers spread all over the country. And there we are using the Google Meet, Zoom, WebEx, and other modes, through which we find that the face-to-face counseling sessions, which earlier we used to have it in our ODL process, that can be replaced effectively. Here, one more advantage the learner is getting, that these sessions, they are in the form of videos. And at latter stage, they can download those videos whenever they find that it is to be listened again. It is not so in case of the face-to-face learning there. There is one more thing which we are adding during this particular process, that is web-enabled academic support. This web-based enabling support we are doing for each course, each program. Here at one portal, we are using the OER, Open Educational Resources. And by using these open educational resources, we are creating one portal. And for that particular program, the concerned teacher, he is having all the available resources, videos, the material, the assignments, and also the advanced handling mechanism. And these things that can be used by the learners, and they will be in direct touch with the learners. Secondly, at the regional centers also, all the learner support for that, so we are providing this sort of one portal support. So that is also technologically giving us lots of satisfaction from the point of the learners. And they feel that now they are getting the things in a much better way. SWAYAM platform, it has picked up effectively. And you see that during the last 3 to 4 years, around 2 crore learners, they were registered. And this particular process, it promotes course-based learning. In India, still the prevalent practice is that the people go for program-based learning. Now, this particular phenomenon, encouraging most of us that a person who wants to study agriculture, he can study agriculture, he can study Hindi, he can study technology, and that too from one portal at one particular point. That demarcation of the broad categories of the subjects, now it is being this interdisciplinary focus, this new education policy that is also being taken care of by this entire system. Now, lastly, I would like to add one more thing, that is podcast. Podcast series. This is a new initiative which we have taken. And what it is giving us is advanced subject knowledge. And advanced subject knowledge, for which we have gone for only 9 sessions. And till this point of time, we could have 63,000 videos downloaded by the people. Because having a curricula, then it is to be updated, having advanced knowledge, then that too with this particular technology, that is also giving us good results. A few bullet points I would like to narrate as the roadmap, that we are doing it, how to move ahead at a much faster pace. I'm not those bullet points in detail, but stating those points that will clearly tell us the way forward. Translation and development of online public audio programs in regional languages. This is giving us 8 languages or 20 languages. Then the online and ODL, the thin differences between the two. Now the pedagogy is almost the same. The 4-quadrant approach, even in ODL, also is the same. Material, the invisible teacher, the counselor, and the evaluation. It is also the same. So there is a need for integrated regulation. And here in this one important thing, especially in the Indian context, that the conduct of examinations, there we can even consider the pen and paper also. Pen and paper still in most of the disciplines, that area is the most of the learners, they are at least feel comfortable in answering the questions through pen and paper. Then this 40% credit transfer mechanism, and for which the mapping is going on. And UGC and AICT has done a great job during this COVID-19 period. They have mapped the relevant courses. Now it is for the universities that they have to pick up those courses, and this 40% credit transfer, 20% right now it is there. And if even right now existing universities, they are using only 1 or 2%. If they get it extended to 20% also, most of our SWAYAM courses which have been developed by the quality faculty, that can be used. We can even go for establishing open universities, because minimum infrastructure and lots of resources. Recently, Punjab has gone for it. The states of Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana, Kerala, and Jharkhand, they may also go for it. Recognition of prior learning. Already the people are knowing so many skills with them. And if we look at those skills and try to recognize it, an experiment it was being conducted earlier, but in Western countries, it is a popular phenomenon, but let us see that how we can go for it. And then 2 degree programs for which the UGC has come up recently, let the notification come. And through that, if a person could not clear 1 degree, at least he will clear the other degree, and thereby the GER it can further be enhanced. Agriculture and skill-based courses. Yes, here a lot of potential is there. And even the conventional institutions, they also use the agriculture lab or the skill lab outside the institution. The same is true for the open and distance learning institutions. So virtual labs that can be created, and these courses, they can also be run through the open universities, through the ODL institutions, the online institutions, and the conventional institutions. This is in brief, which I intend to share with all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Now let me request Professor Minish Haji Thomas to be very brief, but we are running out of time.
Yeah.
As possible, without repeating what they have already said.
Yes. Thank you very much, Professor Sarasabudde, and my fellow panelists and UGC chairman for this opportunity. I'll be sharing my slides if possible. So the topic is equitable use of technology for better reach in education, NEP 2020. NEP 2020, as we have been discussing from the beginning, is a progressive step towards equitable, holistic education and reach for every citizen of India. I salute the team who prepared this. I want to start with a quote. Technology can become the wings that will allow the educational world to fly farther and faster than ever before. if we will allow it. So this is by a quote by Jenny from Texas A&M. So technology will be the wings. How can technology give wings to education, and how much can we go? My focus will be on flexibility, banking of credits, use of ICT, access, equity, and a little bit on collaborative research. Flexibility in curriculum. Rigid curriculum in higher education is easy for administration and faculty, whereas it's not preferred by many students with my 35 years of interaction with the student community. Majority of students choose courses in UG not out of passion. It is by peer pressure or parental pressure or market forces, etc. Once they realize their passion is not what they do, they lose interest. So they seek flexibility, and flexibility in multiple ways will bring in interest and creativity. All institutions should give flexibility. How? So my request to all the heads of institutions here is to think how we can give flexibility at institutional level. Then taking it beyond one institution is the credit bank. It's a beautiful concept in NEP. Credits for, can we also think of giving credits for reputed certifications, not just only for courses? This is, I'll be talking more about implementation. So credit bank in India, but implementation is going to be a challenge because compatibility of institutions, compatibility of courses, whether do we have, can we make a robust repository for the credit bank, because National Academic Depository we created, but how many institutions are already using it? It's a matter of concern. And exit options given in the NEP is a welcome change, but lateral entry options, what are the policies for the lateral entry options? This is also a question. Now, flexible curriculum encourages all-round development of students, and we have been doing it from 1964, from the inception of NIT Trichy, and we adopted flexible curriculum in 2014, and like many other institutions of higher learning, institutions of national importance like IITs and IIMs, we also give a lot of importance to co and extracurricular activities. And like Madam Sushma said in the morning, that an engineer would like to become a singer or a creative artist. I have seen the students from these institutions come out as well-rounded personalities because we offer flexibility in curriculum. For example, a student in electrical engineering in NIT Trichy can graduate with a major in electrical engineering with a minor in economics or English or management or whatever is his choice. And I've seen students going into astrology, creative writing, theater, music, social work, entrepreneurship as a profession after graduation. So it's a welcome change when we go for flexibility. Now, use of ICT in higher education, we have learned about classroom teaching as well as open and distance learning. But COVID-19 mandated us to go for open and distance teaching, a new term called ODT, where students and teachers were caught unaware. Now, how can we give wings to education by use of technology? I would say 4 things. You should have information on your fingertips, especially with student community. Things should be available on their mobile. So information on fingertips, we should reach masses, connectivity, bandwidth, more TV channels. What about the learning experience? How technology can augment the learning experience? Using augmented reality, epistemic games, we can augment the learning experience, whether it is arts or science or engineering or medicine, which is very important. And the last point is language of instruction, especially for India, multilingual. Duolingo has only Hindi for learning. Why can't we include more languages? So this, I'm glad NEP is taking, but we need to work on this to enhance this. Now, what are the challenges in use of technology? Again, for an institution, if we take, I would bring in 4 points. One is institutional readiness. It's very easy to say that you adopt technology, but are our institutions ready? Do we have an IT infrastructure backbone in every institution, whether it is arts, science, law, or commerce, or medicine, or technology. And we need technical support. So institutional readiness is very important. Second is faculty readiness. Training in the use of ICT, e-content development, creation, e-delivery. We have to be proactive. We have to have innovative methods in teaching, especially in online classes. Do we have the gadgets for ICT enabled teaching for teachers? Who will provide, whether it's for classroom or even for remote teaching? And again, technical support. And the third is the student readiness. Are our students ready with connectivity and bandwidth? Very glad to hear Professor Ramamurthy saying that, it will be fruitful in 4 years. Our experience is already reaching nooks and corners of India. Gadgets, again, library readiness. If you have to go technology wise, our libraries has to be ready to give remote access. Overcoming challenges, the COVID-19 experience at NIT Trichy. Students were sent home in March. We have students from 28 states of India, and 10% of our students from abroad. We have around 7,000 students. Completing the semester teaching and conducting examination was a challenge. So I'll talk about all the four briefly. Institutional readiness. We developed our online study material portal, which was emphasized by my previous speakers. Students can download their material anytime, anywhere. Then we developed an online examination portal in May 2020, online student election portal. We have a new student council in place. And we are continuing our research process continuously, completely online. And the IT team support is invaluable. This is institutional readiness. Student readiness, we did extensive survey across the students, community who are even in villages of India. The study material exam portal we created need connectivity for the minimum time. Even students with 2G connectivity were able to access it. Multiple modes of authentication for identity and impersonation we built into the system. And then faculty readiness, third point, training we did, most of our faculty are familiar, but still there is a need for e-content training, online exam, question paper setting. We set higher order thinking questions, no ready answers in books or internet, and multiple question papers, randomized question papers, etc., etc. And the library, we gave VPN access to ebooks and articles to students anywhere in the world. So our online examination portal, I'm very happy to report that our final year 1700 students wrote with 100% attendance. We declared the results, 98% attendance for lower semesters for around 4,000 students. And it is possible to reach nook and corner of the country with technology. We have proven it. Coming to collaboration and research, my last point, I already discussed that collaboration with sister institutions is the way forward, and industry and research. And signing an MOU is not enough. I think we should start with faculty and student exchange, and once we develop a rapport, then go for an MOU. And open your doors to industry. We have done it very effectively, and it's very successful. And we have decided that NIT Trichy will support only multi or interdisciplinary research. And with industry support, we have been able to create the Siemens Center of Excellence, another ISRO, Space Technology Innovation Center, etc. So my request is, please work with industry. That gives you a lot of strength. Open your doors to industry, and also enable your IT services in these four domains. Infrastructure at the institute, enable your faculty, enable your students, enable your library. We will succeed. And I have a few suggestions for a UGC ICT MOE.
Madam, you can type in there so that everyone will see them.
Sir, I just need half a minute.
We have already exceeded by 3 minutes, madam. So you put it on the chat box. There are many people who have raised their hand that they want to comment, but like a quiz round, I would like to request Professor V.K. Tevri from IIT Kharagpur, Director of the Institute. You tell in one sentence, what is your take on this new education policy?
Thank you, Professor Shastribuddhe, for giving me this opportunity. I think this is one of the smartest thing which has been done by this particular government in the history of the post-independence era. Secondly, what I want to say is that, of course, all has been told by Director IIT Madras and the other two speakers. What I can add is that we as IITs, we must come up with our own platform for creating this sort of learning and the bandwidth at the delivery end. And I'm sure that the passion of the student has to be taken into consideration if you want to see that NEP succeeds. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Tiwari. Now, Professor Souvik Bhattacharya, you also say in one or two sentences about what is the policy take on from your side and from your university. Professor Souvik? Professor Souvik Bhattacharya, if he is not there, I think if he is not there, we can conclude the session. The most important thing is all the three experts, Professor Bhaskar Ram Murthy, Nageshwar Rao, and Minish Chiji Thomas, have given excellent inputs about this particular topic. But interestingly, we at AICT have experimented two very important things in the COVID times, and I would like to mention them because that is the power of technology. Our entire regulatory process of giving approvals has been done everything online, including checking of the documents, visit to the campuses, virtual tour of the campuses, and finding out whether facilities are there or not. Everything video recorded, so there is no scope for any kind of what you say many times charges are leveled. That is not going to be possible. It's an absolutely transparent system. Secondly, we had the largest hackathon which we conduct every year. This is the fourth edition. Three editions were all face-to-face mode. They were all coming, but this time 10,000 students we created a platform where we're using Slacks and all that. 40 virtual centers, several mentors, more than 1,500 mentors, jury, they all came online. So I think there is a power of technology which we can certainly make use of. And I'm sure for our Atma Bharat Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Atma Vishwasi Bharat, Swabhimani Bharat, all our efforts in order to complement each other, if you do it, I'm sure that we will be able to achieve success through this new national education policy. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इस तीसरे सत्र की समाप्ति में मैं प्रोफेसर शाह सुबोधे, चेयरमैन एआईसीटी को और आज जो हमारे बीच आपके साथ में तीन अन्य वक्ता जुड़े, प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव, डॉक्टर मिनी शाजी थॉमस और प्रोफेसर भास्कर रामा मूर्ति, आप सभी का मैं बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूं। और हम तथा हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए जितने भी लोग हैं, जितने भी लोग अलग अलग माध्यमों से हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, वो सभी आपके इस डिस्कशन से, टेक्नोलॉजी बेस्ड डिस्कशन से बहुत लाभान्वित हुए हैं। एंड वी रियली होप दैट दिस एनरिचिंग एंड इंसाइटफुल डिस्कशन will go a long way in designing technology-enabled teaching learning process. Thank you so much. A brief announcement I would like to make at this point once again. A hashtag has been created, hashtag NEP Transforming India. So all the participants are requested to tweet their comments or photographs who are watching this conclave at hashtag NEP Transforming India. अब हम अपने अंतिम सत्र की ओर अग्रसर हो रहे हैं. So I invite all of you to the final session of the day. इस कॉन्क्लेव के अंतिम सत्र में आप सभी का हम हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं. मंत्री जी हमारे साथ बहुत जल्दी जुड़ने वाले हैं. जैसे ही वो ज्वाइन करते हैं हम सेशन का शुभारंभ करेंगे.
सिंह साहब।
प्रणाम सर।
धोत्रे जी।
नमस्कार जी।
जी
प्रणाम सर।
प्रणाम। भास्कर जी कैसे हैं?
अच्छा, हाँ नमस्कार, ठीक है सर।
नमस्कार, सब अच्छे हैं?
सर आपकी अनुमति से इस सत्र का प्रारंभ कर रहे हैं।
नमस्कार, नमस्कार सर।
संजय जी।
जी सर। तो आप सभी को मेरा सादर प्रणाम। हम आज के इस कार्यक्रम में जो आज संगोष्ठी का एनईपी पे जो संगोष्ठी की गई है, उस संगोष्ठी का ये अंतिम सत्र है। इस सत्र में हम सभी का स्वागत करते हैं। हमारे ऊर्जावान और यशस्वी माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री श्री रमेश पोखरियाल निशंक जी, राज्य शिक्षा मंत्री श्री संजय धोत्रे जी, सचिव उच्च शिक्षा श्री अमित खरे जी, यूजीसी के अध्यक्ष प्रोफेसर धीरेन्द्र पाल सिंह जी, इस सम्मेलन में भाग ले रहे सभी विद्वतजन, कुलपतिगण, शिक्षकगण, निदेशक, प्राचार्य एवं विद्यार्थियों और अन्य सब अतिथि वक्ता और जितने भी हमारे साथ आज इस कार्यक्रम में अलग अलग माध्यम से लोग जुड़े हैं, उन सभी का मैं हार्दिक स्वागत और अभिनंदन करता हूं। जैसा हम सभी को विदित है, उच्च शिक्षा में राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के परिप्रेक्ष्य में परिवर्तनकारी सुधार विषयक राष्ट्रीय सम्मेलन यह एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण पहल है। और जैसा आज सुबह माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी कहा कि इस शुभारंभ के बाद में देश भर में वेबिनार, डिस्कशंस और अलग अलग चर्चाओं के माध्यम से राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति का विस्तार होगा और इसके क्रियान्वयन में हमको सहायता मिलेगी। आज प्रातःकाल के उद्घाटन सत्र में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का बहुत ही सारगर्भित वक्तव्य हुआ, जिसमें उन्होंने राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 के परिप्रेक्ष्य, प्रक्रिया, परिकल्पना, विस्तार, आयामों तथा उससे होने वाले परिवर्तनकारी सुधारों की चर्चा की। उन्होंने विस्तार से यह भी बताया कि किस प्रकार यह शिक्षा नीति भारत के युवाओं के भविष्य का और राष्ट्र के आर्थिक, सामाजिक विकास और निर्माण में सहायक होगी। वास्तव में यह राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति नए भारत के निर्माण की भविष्यगामी राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति है और इसका क्रियान्वयन बहुत ही स्ट्रैटेजिक तरीके से किया जाना है। इसकी भी रूपरेखा के बारे में आज माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने चर्चा की और हम सभी खुशकिस्मत हैं कि हम इस व्यापक परिवर्तन के साक्षी बनेंगे और राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के क्रियान्वयन में बहुत ही सक्रिय भूमिका निभाएंगे। आज के सत्रों में हमने माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री श्री रमेश पोखरियाल निशंक जी को भी सुना, राज्य शिक्षा मंत्री श्री संजय धोत्रे जी तथा अन्य विद्वानों को भी सुनने का अवसर मिला। राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के विभिन्न आयामों पर 3 टेक्निकल सेशंस आयोजित किए गए थे, जिसमें देश के शीर्षस्थ विद्वानों ने और विशेषज्ञों ने अपने अनुभव और ज्ञान और विचार साझा किए। सभी लोग इससे बहुत लाभान्वित हुए। जैसा हम सभी जानते हैं, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में वोकेशनल और प्रोफेशनल एजुकेशन पर काफी महत्व दिया गया है। इसके बारे में एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए कई प्रावधान दिए गए हैं। So National Education Policy 2020 has many provisions for improving employability by integrating vocational education in higher education at graduate level. So today we are also going to release guidelines for higher education institutions to offer apprenticeship and internship embedded degree program. These guidelines are aimed to improve employability of general stream students, and for the first time, graduation program in general stream will be designed to offer apprenticeship as part of the degree program. This is also in line with the Union Budget of 2021 announcement, which mentioned that a large number of institutions will offer apprenticeship embedded degree courses. So UGC guidelines have been prepared और आज हम उसका माननीय मंत्री जी, माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी एवं अन्य अतिथियों की उपस्थिति में, की गर्मामय उपस्थिति में इसका लोकार्पण भी किया जाएगा। इस समापन सत्र में आज की संपूर्ण चर्चाओं का सार संक्षेप भी हम उपस्थित अतिथियों से सुनेंगे और इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ते हुए मैं सर्वप्रथम उच्च शिक्षा सचिव श्री अमित खरे जी को उनके संबोधन के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं। सचिव श्री अमित खरे जी।
माननीय मंत्रीगण, उपस्थित सभी साथियों, आज हमने माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का मार्गदर्शन प्राप्त किया और विशेष रूप से माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो निर्देश दिया कि इस नीति को कार्यान्वित करने के लिए रणनीति के लिए रोड मैप के लिए रिसोर्सेज, यानी एक सिलसिला जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी चाहते हैं। निश्चित रूप से यूजीसी, एआईसीटी और हमारे जो प्रमुख संस्थान हैं सब मिलकर आगे बढ़ेंगे। आई एम not only hopeful, but we have to organize similar webinars at all levels so that the message of Honorable Prime Minister and the details mentioned in the policy reach every nook and corner of the country. मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि नई नीति के क्रियान्वयन के लिए इम्प्लीमेंटेशन शेड्यूल काफ़ी हद तक बन चुका है और इसमें अलग अलग स्थानों पर जो वेबिनार होंगे, आपके जो इनपुट आएंगे, हर सब्जेक्ट पे वेबिनार किया जाएगा and your inputs will be really very helpful in designing the implementation plan and also the detailed schedule that we have for implementing various items of the policy. I once again thank UGC, Chairman Professor D.P. Singh, Secretary Shri Rajneesh ji, and all the distinguished participants who addressed us during the day. It was a very successful webinar organized by UGC. My thanks to D.P. Singh and his entire team. Also to Professor Manjul Bhargav, who took the pain to join us from USA. Although it must have been very difficult, it was a night time when we were having daytime here. A special thanks to Professor Manjul Bhargav. Thank you very much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सचिव श्री अमित खरे जी। अब मैं हमारे राज्य शिक्षा मंत्री श्री संजय धोत्रे जी को आमंत्रित करूंगा आपके उद्बोधन के लिए।
सभी को नमस्कार। आज का दिन हमारे लिए बहुत ही सौभाग्यपूर्ण और महत्वपूर्ण है। आज हमारे सारे देश के शिक्षा से जुड़े हुए सभी वरिष्ठ, इनको हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने नई शिक्षा नीति के बारे में मार्गदर्शन किया और अभी जो कार्यक्रम होने जा रहा उसमें उपस्थित हमारे मार्गदर्शक और भारत के शिक्षा मंत्री आदरणीय डॉक्टर रमेश पोखरियाल निशंक जी, चेयरमैन यूजीसी प्रोफेसर डीपी सिंह जी, अमित खरे जी सेक्रेटरी हायर एजुकेशन, रजनीश जैन जी, भास्कर जी डायरेक्टर आईआईटी मद्रास, उपस्थित सभी वरिष्ठगण, सभी विश्वविद्यालयों के वाइस चांसलर, डायरेक्टर, प्रिंसिपल्स और सभी मेरे भाई बहन, उच्च शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल रिफॉर्म नई राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति लाने जा रही है उस पर बहुत गहरा मंथन हो रहा। उच्च शिक्षा लेने के पश्चात जॉब मार्केट में आने वाला युवक स्किल और इंडस्ट्री की रिक्वायरमेंट दोनों मैच होनी चाहिए, तभी रोजगार निर्मित का कार्य असरदार होगा। एकेडमिक नॉलेज के साथ साथ प्रैक्टिकल स्किल्स भी इम्पोर्टेंट है। इसलिए यूजीसी द्वारा तैयार की गई अप्रेंटिसशिप, इंटर्नशिप, एम्बेडेड डिग्री प्रोग्राम संबंधी गाइडलाइंस आज जारी की जा रही है। यह बहुत खुशी की बात है। यह मेरा मानना है कि विद्यार्थियों को रोजगार क्षमता को बेहतर बनाने हेतु एक नई दृष्टि से आवश्यकता है, जिसका रोजगार परक पाठ्यक्रम का समावेश हो। उच्चतर शिक्षा को उद्योग और कार्य की आवश्यकताओं के साथ जोड़ने में अप्रेंटिसशिप की प्रमुख भूमिका होती है। इस दिशा निर्देश का लक्ष्य स्नातक के सामान्य डिग्री कार्यक्रम कर रहे विद्यार्थियों की रोजगार क्षमता में सुधार लाना और उच्चतर शिक्षा प्रणाली और उद्योग के बीच पारस्परिक संवाद और सक्रिय संबंध को भी प्रोत्साहन देना है। आशा करता हूं कि यह रोजगार क्षमता के अंतर को दूर करने की दिशा में आवश्यक कदम उठाने में मददगार होगा। दिस डिग्री प्रोग्राम will focus on industry-led, practice-oriented, and steps toward bridging the gap between employment and employability. I request our universities to come forward to introduce apprenticeship, internship embedded degree program for the general degree courses in large number to create a strong ecosystem of work-based experience along with academic credits. और अभी हमारे सचिव अमित खरे जी जो बात कर रहे थे, जिस तरह प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें आदेश दिए कि इसका हमको ये नीति की एक रणनीति बनाना पड़ेगा, उसका रोड मैप बनाना पड़ेगा, और इसलिए आज जो एक वेबिनार हुआ उसी तरह हमको अलग अलग क्षेत्रों में भी इसको विकेंद्रित रूप से करना पड़ेगा। तो मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि हमारे मार्गदर्शक आदरणीय डॉक्टर रमेश पोखरियाल निशंक जी के नेतृत्व में, इनके मार्गदर्शन में ये कार्य हम यथाशीघ्र शुरू भी करेंगे और उसको टाइम बाउंडेड मैनर में हम पूरा भी करेंगे। मैं आज ये गाइडलाइंस जो प्रस्तुत हुई इसके लिए हमारे यूजीसी चेयरमैन डीपी सिंह जी, रजनीश जी, इनको भी बधाई देता हूं और आपको सबको धन्यवाद देते हुए और शुभकामनाएं देते हुए मैं मेरे शब्दों को विराम देता हूं। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार, जय हिंद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अब मैं हमारे माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री और माननीय राज्य मंत्री से अनुरोध करूंगा कि अब आप हमने जिस अप्रेंटिसशिप एम्बेडेड गाइडलाइंस को डेवलप किया है, जो राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के क्रियान्वयन का ही एक पहलू है, उसको लोकार्पित करने के लिए आप हमारी इस अप्रेंटिसशिप एम्बेडेड गाइडलाइंस के डॉक्यूमेंट को लॉन्च करेंगे।
धन्यवाद जैन साहब, धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सर। अब मैं हमारे माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री श्री रमेश पोखरियाल जी से सादर अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो अपने आशय वचन से हमें उद्बोधित करें।
आज के इस महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम में उपस्थित मेरे सहयोगी और जो बहुत सरल और प्रखर व्यक्तित्व के धनी हैं श्री संजय धोत्रे जी, हमारे सचिव श्री अमित खरे जी, और जिनके रात दिन अथक प्रयासों से हम नई शिक्षा नीति को सामने ला पाए हैं, और यूजीसी के चेयरमैन धीरेन्द्र मधुर जी, प्रोफेसर डीपी सिंह जी, धीरेन्द्र मधुर जी ही मैं बोलता हूँ इनको। तो इनके और इनकी टीम के भी बहुत प्रयास से जो आज ये नई शिक्षा नीति 2020 आ पाई है, और हमारे अन्य सभी यहाँ पर मैं देख रहा हूँ कि भास्कर जी सहित बहुत सारे हमारे आईआईटीज के निदेशक और विश्वविद्यालयों के सभी कुलपतिगण और सभी हमारे वरिष्ठ प्रोफेसर और प्रिंसिपलगण सब जुड़े हुए हैं, शिक्षाविद। मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि आज प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जिस बात को कहा है कि जो ये जो नई शिक्षा नीति, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति आई है, पूरे देश के अंदर बहुत अच्छा परिवेश है। और जहाँ तक मुझे लगता है कि जिस तरीके से हमारे सभी कुलपतिगण ने, निदेशकगण ने, पूरी टीम ने, इस शिक्षा विभाग के इस परिवार ने इस नई शिक्षा नीति को अध्ययन करके उस पर लेखों को लिखा है, सोशल मीडिया में लिखा है। मैंने सभी लोगों के लेखों को पढ़ा है और मुझे गौरव महसूस होता है कि हमारी जो ये टीम है, जो जिसके कंधों पर इस देश की महत्वपूर्ण शिक्षा का भार है, जो भारत के भविष्य के निर्माण में एक शिल्पी का काम कर रहे हैं, प्रेरक का काम कर रहे हैं, वो लोग इस शिक्षा नीति से बहुत अच्छे से परिचित ही नहीं है, बल्कि लोगों तक भी लेख के माध्यम से और अपने सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से, भिन्न भिन्न माध्यमों से आपने जिस तरीके से इस नई शिक्षा नीति को लोगों तक ले जाने का काम किया है, सबसे पहले तो मैं आप सब लोगों का अभिनंदन करता हूं। और मुझे बहुत गौरव है, महसूस होता है कि जैसे मैंने पिछली बार भी कहा कि इस शिक्षा के परिवार ने विषम विपरीत परिस्थितियों में चुनौतियों का मुकाबला करके उसको अवसरों में तब्दील किया है। इसका प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण और उदाहरण कोरोना के संकट काल से जिस तरीके से आप लोग गुजरे हैं और हर चुनौती का मुकाबला करके और आप एक योद्धा की तरह आगे बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, ये छोटी बात नहीं है। हिंदुस्तान 130 करोड़ लोगों का देश है और अमेरिका की कुल आबादी जितनी नहीं है उससे ज्यादा यहाँ पर 33 करोड़ से भी अधिक छात्र और छात्राएं हैं। इनको संभाल पाना, जबकि बच्चे घर पर कैद हो गए हों, छात्र छात्राएं, और ऐसी परिस्थिति में उनको ऑनलाइन पर लेकर के आना, ये छोटी और सहज बात नहीं है। ये पूरी दुनिया में एक अद्भुत उदाहरण आपने प्रस्तुत किया है। आज सुबह हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी का हमको मार्गदर्शन मिला है और जो उनको आपको मार्गदर्शन मिला है उस मार्गदर्शन के अनुरूप मुझे भरोसा है कि आप उस दिशा में लगातार आपने मन भी बना दिया होगा, काम भी करेंगे। और जिस तरीके से आज दिन भर ये समापन सत्र आप कर रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं देख रहा था कि समग्र बहु विषयक और अत्याधुनिक शिक्षा के बारे में प्रोफेसर धीरेन्द्र पाल सिंह जी, अध्यक्ष यूजीसी की अध्यक्षता में, प्रोफेसर MK श्रीधर जो सदस्य भी राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति प्रारूप समिति के, और वक्ताओं में प्रोफेसर नजमा अख्तर, कुलपति जामिया मिलिया इस्लामिया दिल्ली, वो भी वक्ता के रूप में थे, और प्रोफेसर सुरेश कुमार, कुलपति इफ्लू हैदराबाद। एक सत्र पूरी तरीके से विभिन्न वक्ताओं, सहयोगियों के विचारों के साथ इस महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर आपने विचार विमर्श किया है। मुझे भरोसा है कि DP सिंह साहब जो लोगों के विचार आए होंगे इस दिशा में, उसको संग्रहित करके और लोगों तक भी पहुंचेंगे। अनिल सहस्त्र बुद्धे जी भी अभी जुड़े हैं, वो भी मुझे दिखाई दे रहे हैं। और उसके बाद जो फिर तीसरा सत्र हुआ है वो गुणवत्ता युक्त अनुसंधान को उत्प्रेरित करने जैसे विषय पर हमारी प्रोफेसर के विजय राघवन जो प्रधानमंत्री जी के प्रधान वैज्ञानिक सलाहकार हैं, उनकी अध्यक्षता में हुआ है। और प्रोफेसर मंजुल भार्गव इसमें हमारे साथ अमेरिका से जुड़े जो शिक्षा नीति के सदस्य के रूप में रहे हैं, और वक्ताओं के रूप में प्रोफेसर भूषण पटवर्धन जी जो उपाध्यक्ष हैं हमारे यूजीसी के, प्रोफेसर अनुराग कुमार जो पूर्व निदेशक IISc बेंगलुरु के हैं, उन्होंने अपने विचार व्यक्त किए, और तमाम सहयोगियों ने उस बिंदु को बहुत आगे बढ़ाए, क्योंकि गुणवत्तायुक्त अनुसंधान को उत्प्रेरित करना ये आज की परिस्थितियों में हमारे लिए बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। और उसके बाद जो अगला सत्र था, वो अगला सत्र शिक्षा के उचित विस्तार के लिए प्रौद्योगिकी का न्याय सम्मत प्रयोग, इस दिशा में जो AICT के हमारे चेयरमैन हैं प्रोफेसर अनिल सहस्रबुद्धे, उनकी अध्यक्षता में प्रोफेसर भास्कर राम मूर्ति जी निदेशक IIT मद्रास और प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव कुलपति इग्नू और डॉक्टर मिनी साजिद थॉमस निदेशक NIT तिरची, इनके पारस्परिक चर्चा में जो ये अलग अलग सत्र स्थापित हुए हैं, इस पे विचार विमर्श हुआ है। निश्चित रूप में आज के संदर्भों में, जबकि भारत देश की आज़ादी के बाद नहीं बल्कि सैकड़ों की गुलामी के बाद, सैकड़ों वर्षों की गुलामी के बाद अपने प्रकार की भारत केंद्रित और ज्ञान विज्ञान अनुसंधान के क्षेत्र में विश्व की प्रतिस्पर्धा पर आने वाली अपनी शिक्षा नीति को लेकर के आ रहा है। ऐसे वक्त पर इन महत्वपूर्ण विषयों पर चर्चा करना बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण था, और जिसको प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी कहा है। प्रधानमंत्री जी को यदि विशेष करके जो उनका प्रौद्योगिकी पर ज़्यादा हमेशा ध्यान रहा है, उन्होंने ये कहा है कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा प्रौद्योगिकी को हम कैसे करके वो कर सकें। इस बात की भी पूरे देश के अंदर खुशी है कि अब छात्र अपने बारे में निर्णय लेगा, हम उस पर थोपेंगे नहीं। वो जिस भी विषय को ले सकता है वो ले करके और आगे बढ़ सकता है। और उसको जो क्रेडिट बैंक है, इसका भी प्रचार थोड़ा सा करें कि उस छात्र के हित में बहुत बड़ा निर्णय हुआ है ये, और ये इस नीति से उसको बल मिलेगा, उसका समय बर्बाद नहीं होगा और उसका मन कमजोर नहीं होगा। उसको जरूरत पड़ती है कि एक बार छोड़ करके उसको वो समय में भी, चाहे वो उसको सर्टिफिकेट मिले, डिप्लोमा मिले, डिग्री मिले, लेकिन यदि बीच में छोड़ के जाता है तो दोबारा वो अपने क्रेडिट के आधार पर वो अपनी शिक्षा को शुरू कर सकता है। उसके भविष्य के साथ कोई अन्याय नहीं होगा। तो ये जो उसके मन के अंदर एक नया उत्साह आएगा, उमंग आएगा, वो भी अपने आप में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। शोध और अनुसंधान के क्षेत्र में भी हमेशा प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बहुत गंभीरता से उस बात की चिंता की है कि अभी हमको बहुत तेजी से बढ़ना है, क्योंकि जब जब भी हम अपने इन संस्थानों का विश्व के फलक पर, चाहे वो QS रैंकिंग हो, टाइम्स रैंकिंग हो या अन्य जो भी मानक हैं, वहाँ कहीं ना कहीं हम शोध और अनुसंधान की दिशा में कहीं अभी कमजोर हैं। और मुझे भरोसा है कि हम उस क्षेत्र में भी अपनी ऊंची उड़ान को भरेंगे और NRF जो नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन बनेगा, वो इसका रास्ता बहुत तेजी से मजबूती से के साथ वो आगे बढ़ाएगा। जो प्रधानमंत्री जी की चिंता रही है, और वही मालवीय जी की भी हमेशा चिंता थी। मैंने विवेकानंद को पढ़ा, चाहे मौलाना आजाद को पढ़ा, चाहे देश के जो राष्ट्रपति रहे हैं, पूर्व राष्ट्रपति राधा कृष्णन जी रहे, सब ने इस बात पर जोर दिया कि जो भी व्यक्ति, जो भी समाज अपनी जड़ों से कटता है वो अधिक दिनों तक जीवित नहीं रह सकता। और उन्होंने कहा था कि ये जो अपनी जड़ों से हटता है, कटता है, वो कटी हुई पतंग की तरह होता है कि वो आसमान में तो दिख रहा है, लेकिन वो किस कगार में जाकर के गिरेगा उस कटी हुई पतंग को भी पता नहीं है। लेकिन जमीन पर खड़े होकर के आसमान को छूने की जो अभिप्सा है, वो हमारी नीति है, वो हमारी शिक्षा नीति है। इसलिए मूल्य परक जो शिक्षा है, यदि जब हम ये कहते हैं कि पूरी दुनिया के अंदर इस सदी की ये सबसे खूबसूरततम शिक्षा नीति है, तो उसके पीछे एक बहुत बड़ा मील का पत्थर जो जीवन मूल्य है, जो मानवीय मूल्य है। क्योंकि जिस आदमी की प्रगति कर रहा है, यदि उसमें संवेदना ही नहीं रहेगी, मानवता ही नहीं रहेगी, उसके जीवन मूल्य ही नहीं रहेंगे, तो हम मशीन बना रहे हैं उसको। और इसलिए जो हमारी दुनिया के अंदर खूबसूरती रही है, जिसने हमें वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की बात की है, जिसमें सर्वेभवन्तु सुखिनः की बात की है, जिसमें हम असतो मा सद्गमय की बात करते हैं, जिसमें ज्योति की ओर जाकर के अंधेरे को मिटाने की बात करते हैं, ये सहज सामान्य बात नहीं है। इसलिए जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी की भी चिंता रही है कि हम पूरे विश्व के फलक पर जाएं, अंतरराष्ट्रीय स्तर पर प्रतिस्पर्धा में नंबर 1 आए, लेकिन अपनी जड़ों को न छोड़ें, अपने को भूले नहीं अतीत को वर्तमान से जोड़ना, जो हमारा ज्ञान विज्ञान अनुसंधान है पीछे से, उस अनुसंधान ज्ञान को वर्तमान से जोड़ करके और भविष्य के नवाचार के साथ छलांग मारना, ये बहुत जरूरी है। यदि इस पूरी शिक्षा नीति का मूल सूत्र है, क्योंकि कोई भी देश, कोई भी व्यक्ति किसी की नकल पर नंबर 1 नहीं हो सकता है। उसकी कुछ तो अपने देने की अभिप्सा हो, कुछ तो ताकत हो उसको अपने देने की, और हमें अपनी देने की ताकत है पूरी दुनिया को। तक्षशिला और नालंदा जैसे विश्वविद्यालय इस देश का प्रमाण है कि वो सारी दुनिया को देने की क्षमता रही है। आज भी हमारा भास्कराचार्य हों वैज्ञानिक, वो चाहे वो पतंजलि हों, चाहे भाषा के क्षेत्र में हों, और चाहे विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में हो, चाहे गणित के क्षेत्र में आर्यभट्ट हों, मैं सोचता हूं कि वो वैज्ञानिक हमारे पास थे, अभी भी हमारे पास वो धाती है जिसका विश्लेषण करने की जरूरत आ पड़ी है, जो पूरी दुनिया की और मानवता के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण होगा। और इसलिए ये अपनी जड़ों से जुड़े रहना ये बहुत जरूरी है। और भारत में श्रेष्ठ क्या है और उसको दूसरे को कैसे करके हम दे सकते हैं, क्योंकि हम तो वसुधैव कुटुंब वाले लोग हैं, हम दूसरों के लिए देने के लिए हमेशा तत्पर रहे हैं। तो इसलिए रोजगार से भी कैसे इन सब चीजों को जोड़ा जा सकता है, जो उनकी चिंता रही है कि पुरातन, जो पुरातन है और श्रेष्ठ है उसको न छोड़ें, और पुरातन को नूतन से जोड़ करके ज्ञान विज्ञान अनुसंधान पारंपरिक कला जो हमारे धरोहर हैं उनका किस तेजी से समन्वय करके और आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं हम लोग, ये हमारे लिए बहुत जरूरी है। यहाँ पर हमको अपना मन भी बनाना पड़ेगा और मन बना करके उस दिशा में दौड़ना भी पड़ेगा। मुझे इस बात की भी खुशी है कि मैं पीछे से देख रहा था, पीछे 5 सालों में यदि देखेंगे तो हम 2014 में जो भारत रैंकिंग इनोवेशन के उसमें भी थे हम, तो 81 नंबर पर थे। इस समय हम 52 स्थान पर वहाँ पर हैं। हमने वहाँ भी बहुत छलांग मारी है। उच्च शिक्षा के सकल नामांकन में हम यदि 14-15 को देखें कि 24.3% थे, जो हम 26.3 से 27 लगभग हो गए हैं। 14-15 में हम लोग जो विश्वविद्यालयों की संख्या हमारी 711 थी, आज 1028 से भी अधिक विश्वविद्यालय हमारे इन 4-5 सालों में हुए हैं। और आईआईटी के क्षेत्र में मैं सोचता हूं कि पहले जो छात्राओं की संख्या थी, बालिकाओं की संख्या थी 15-16 में 1871 थी, और ये 1871 आज बढ़ करके ये 19-20 में 3411 हो गई है। तो बालिकाओं की शिक्षा में भी हमारी गवर्नमेंट पूरी ताकत के साथ और बड़ी पारदर्शिता के साथ आगे आ रही है। मैं सोचता हूँ चाहे शिक्षकों के उसका विषय हो कि शिक्षकों के 15-16 में तो 5410 की तुलना में इस समय 1,75,301 शिक्षकों को जो है मालवीय मिशन से प्रशिक्षित किया, और अभी ये अभियान जारी है कि जो अभी नया कार्यक्रम दिया है और यूजीसी ने लगातार इस दिशा में किया, एआईसीटी ने भी लगातार नए नए अभिनव प्रयोग किए हैं, कार्यक्रम दिए हैं। आईओ की दिशा में हम तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, और ये हमारे लिए एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण संस्थाएं होंगी जो सारे विश्व के शिखर पर हिंदुस्तान का नाम ऊंचा करेंगी। हीफा हमारे लिए एक हमारे सरकार ने हमको एक हीफा हमको अवस्थापनाओं के विकास की दिशा में जो 2022 तक 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए का निवेश उसमें होगा, वो भी हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ी आधारशिला होगी। स्टडी इन इंडिया के तहत में देख रहा था 18-19 में कुल 780 छात्र थे, आज 3164 साल 19-20 में भर्ती हुए, और इस समय लगभग 5000 से भी उसकी संख्या ज्यादा हो गई थी। लेकिन अब तो जो वर्तमान परिस्थितियां हैं, हमने स्टडी इन इंडिया और स्टे इन इंडिया इन दोनों चीजों को किया है। जो 8 लाख छात्र बाहर जाता है, आखिर कौन सी कमी है? मैं समझता हूं कि हमारे संस्थान बहुत सक्षम संस्थान है, एक परिवेश बनाने की जरूरत थी, और अब जो कोई कमी रही है वो कमी इस नई शिक्षा नीति से आने से वो कमी भी दूर हो गई है। इसलिए यहाँ की जो प्रतिभा और पैसा, ये दोनों जो बाहर चले जाते हैं, संभवतः लगभग 1.5 लाख करोड़ रुपया प्रति वर्ष हिंदुस्तान का बाहर जाता है। जो प्रतिभाएं बाहर जाती हैं फिर लौट करके नहीं आते हैं। इस देश को दोहरी क्षति होती है, उनकी प्रतिभा का उपयोग पूरी दुनिया कर रही है। अब जब यहाँ रोकेंगे तो यहाँ का पैसा भी बचेगा, यहाँ रहेगा, और यहाँ की प्रतिभा भी रहेगी, और उन प्रतिभा के आधार पर देश विकसित ये नहीं बल्कि पूरी दुनिया में अपने शिखर पर पहुंचने के लिए किया। मैं अभी देख रहा था कि चाहे वो भारतीय प्रबंधन संस्थानों को 7 से लेकर के इन 5 साल में 16 करने का विषय रहा हो, बहुत सारे इन 5 वर्षों में जिस तरीके से आमूलचूल परिवर्तन हुआ है, और अब ये जो नई शिक्षा नीति आ रही है ये भी एक नए इतिहास को रचेगी, मेरा भरोसा है, क्योंकि इसकी पूरी दुनिया में जिस तरीके से इस समय चर्चा हुई है, और शायद ये पहली ऐसी शिक्षा नीति है 99% लोगों ने इसकी तारीफ की है। 99% लोगों को लगा कि अब हिंदुस्तान में कुछ और होने वाला है। ये छोटी बात नहीं है, और इसलिए आप सब लोगों को मैं इस बात की बधाई देना चाहता हूं। आज जो ये इसका लोकार्पण किया है यूजीसी के चेयरमैन साहब को, उनके सचिव को, उनकी पूरी टीम को मैं बधाई देना चाहता हूं। ये अप्रेंटिसशिप, इंटर्नशिप, युक्त डिग्री कार्यक्रम में हमारे माननीय मंत्री जी संजय जी ने बहुत विस्तार पूर्वक इस बारे में प्रकाश डाला है। मैं जरूर चाहूँगा कि इसका उपयोग ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हो, और ये जो इसके जो लाभ हैं, जिन छात्रों को इसका लाभ मिलना है और वहाँ तक इसकी पहुँच हो, वहाँ तक इसकी सूचना हो। मैं एक बार फिर इस समापन अवसर पर बस सिर्फ इतना कहना चाहता हूँ कि इसके बाद जो एक आगे 3 महीनों के लिए पूरे देश के अंदर एनईपी होना चाहिए, पूरे देश के अंदर केवल और केवल शिक्षा होना चाहिए। यदि 33 करोड़ छात्र हैं तो 33 करोड़ छात्र का मतलब यदि माता पिता भी करे तो वो 66 और 66 और 33 99 करोड़ होते हैं। 100 प्रतिदिन आप 100 करोड़ लोगों को स्पर्श करते हैं। ये 3 महीने तक आप केवल देश के अंदर क्या है शिक्षा, ऐसा माहौल हो जाना चाहिए, आधा मन वैसे ही बदल जाना चाहिए। और मैं अमित जी को कहूंगा कि एक बार इस पूरी टीम के साथ बैठ करके, जिस पर आर्थिक बोझ नहीं पड़ना है, आपने प्लान बनाया भी है, आपके दिमाग में भी है कि जिस पर आर्थिक बोझ नहीं पड़ना है, जो नई शिक्षा नीति में लेके आए हैं, जो प्रशासनिक आदेशों से और पारस्परिक समन्वय से जो बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। मैं संजय जी से कहूंगा कि अमित जी के साथ बैठ करके कुछ इन बिंदुओं पर चर्चा भी करेंगे, और फिर हम लोग जब भी अमित जी एक टीम बना देंगे, ताकि हम जल्दी से जल्दी देश को ये बताना चाहते हैं कि हम नीति लेकर के ही नहीं आए, हम उसकी रीति भी लेकर के आए हैं, उसका रास्ता भी लेकर के आए हैं। और जैसे कि अमित जी ने बताया, अमित खरे जी ने बताया कि हम लोग इसके क्रियान्वयन का बिल्कुल हमने रोड मैप तैयार कर रखा है, अब वो दौड़ना है हमने उस पर। और प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी इस बात की चिंता की कि सबको, किसी ने भी हमारी इस नीति पर कोई सवाल नहीं किया। सबके मन में ये अच्छा क्रियान्वित होता है कि नहीं होता है, क्रियान्वित करने के लिए ही हम नीति को लाए हैं। मुझे भरोसा है हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के संरक्षण में हमारी ये पूरी टीम ये साबित करेगी कि यदि हम नीति लाते हैं तो हम उसको क्रियान्वित भी करते हैं। आज सुबह में चर्चा कर रहा था कि जो 1986 में नीति बनी थी, 1986 की राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति का क्रियान्वयन 92 में हुआ। जब 1986 में नरसिंहा राव जी जब शिक्षा मंत्री थे, उस समय उस नीति को लाया गया, लेकिन मैं उसका ड्राफ्ट देख रहा था कि उसके बाद जो 92 में उसका क्रियान्वयन का रास्ता अपनाया गया, का मतलब 86 से 86, 87, 87, 88, 88, 90, 90, 91 तक, इन 5 सालों तक, 4 सालों तक किसी ने उसकी चिंता ही नहीं की। अब मैं ये समझता हूँ वक्त हमारे पास कम है, मैदान हमारे पास खाली है, लोगों के मन बने हैं, व्यवस्थाओं की दृष्टि से हम क्या क्या समन्वय कर सकते हैं, कितने कम समय में कर सकते हैं। जैसे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने चाहा कि हर कॉलेज, हर विश्वविद्यालय, जो विश्वविद्यालयों के अंदर जितने कॉलेज हैं, विश्वविद्यालय इसको तय करे कि वो अपने हर विभाग में सेमिनार करे। अच्छा है, चर्चा होनी चाहिए, परामर्श होना चाहिए। हम एक नई दिशा में नई छलांग मारने के लिए तैयार हैं, सबको मन से तैयार होना चाहिए। और इसलिए पूरा विश्वविद्यालयों के अंदर ये सेमिनार शुरू हो जाए, महाविद्यालयों के अंदर सेमिनार शुरू हो जाए, और राज्यों के भी अंदर जो है फिर उस तरीके से सेमिनार शुरू हो जाए। मैं समझता हूं जिस दिन ये हो जाएगा, आदि समस्याओं का समाधान वही हो जाएगा, और बाकी जो क्योंकि हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी का हमको आशीर्वाद है और उन्होंने आज हमको आश्वासन भी दिया, मैं चट्टान की तरह आपके पीछे खड़ा हूँ, आपके साथ हूँ। तो प्रधानमंत्री जी का ये कहना कि इस नीति को क्रियान्वित करने के लिए मैं पूरी ताकत के साथ आपके साथ खड़ा हूँ, ये हमारा सौभाग्य है कि उनका हमेशा हमको मार्गदर्शन मिल रहा है। आज सुबह से लेकर के और अब तक जो भी चर्चाएं हुई हैं वो देश के भविष्य के निर्माण की आधारशिला बन करके रहेंगे, ऐसा मेरा भरोसा है। क्योंकि आप सब लोगों ने परामर्श किया, विचार विमर्श किया और इसको वहां तक क्रियान्वित करने की तो आधारशिला ही आप हैं। आप सब लोगों का मन बन करके किस तेजी से के साथ हमने इसको वहां तक लेकर के जाना है। जो जो संस्थान है हमारे IIT हैं, IIIT हैं, आईसर हैं, NIT हैं, SPA हैं, हमारे विश्वविद्यालय हैं, इन सभी बड़े संस्थानों को क्या क्या वो अपने क्षेत्र में कर सकते हैं। यदि 1 महीना 1.5 महीने के अंदर वो बता दें हमको कि 1.5 महीने के अंदर वो इसकी समीक्षा करें, बैठक करें और उसके बिंदुओं को तय करें कि हाँ, जो नई शिक्षा नीति में ये सुनिश्चित हुआ है, इस नई शिक्षा नीति में हम ये इतने समय में कर सकते हैं, जिस पर बहुत ज़्यादा अवस्थापनाओं की ज़रूरत नहीं है, जिसमें बहुत ज़्यादा धन की ज़रूरत नहीं है। और मुझे भरोसा है कि मैं जब भी अपने इस पूरे परिवार के मुखिया लोगों के साथ बातचीत करता हूं तो मुझे गौरव महसूस होता है कि जब भी जिसको भी जो काम सौंपा, जो भी बताया, संकेत मात्र से सब लोग एकजुट होकर के, और इस समय मैं DP सिंह साहब से बात कर रहा था कि हमारा जो ये परिवार है, शिक्षा का परिवार पूरे भारत का एकजुट है और उसने अभी एकजुटता दिखाई है, हर दिशा में एकजुटता दिखाई है। तो मैं समझता हूँ ये हमारे लिए सौभाग्य का विषय है कि हमारा जब परिवार एक रहता है, एकजुट रहता है, तो बहुत सारी समस्याओं का समाधान हो जाता है। जिस परिवार में एकजुटता नहीं रहती है, मिशन मोड नहीं रहता है, वो परिवार बहुत जल्दी टूटता है। हमारा परिवार मजबूत है और वो परिवार है जो पूरे देश को दिशा देने की ताकत रखता है, विषम परिस्थितियों में भी मार्ग निकाल सकता है और जिसको भारत के भविष्य के निर्माण के लिए आज लोगों ने, सरकार ने हमको चिन्हित किया है। हम यहाँ पर बैठे हुए हैं कि हम अपने पीढ़ी का निर्माण करेंगे, राष्ट्र। हमको इससे बड़ा सौभाग्य क्या मिल सकता है कि हम राष्ट्र के निर्माण की दिशा में आधारशिला बन करके काम कर रहे हैं, जुटे हुए हैं उस दिशा में। मैं एक बार फिर आप सब लोगों का अभिनंदन करता हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और मेरी शुभकामना। नमस्कार।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय मंत्री जी, आपके उद्बोधन के लिए, आपके मार्गदर्शन के लिए, और जो विश्वास आपने हम लोगों पे जताया है, हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि आपके विश्वास को पूरा करेंगे और एक समयबद्ध तरीके से, चरणबद्ध तरीके से इस नीति के क्रियान्वयन की हम पूरी पहल करेंगे और हम आपको भरोसा दिलाते हैं कि बहुत ही शीघ्र, अल्प समय में ही इसके क्रियान्वयन की पहल शुरू हो जाएगी। इसके क्रियान्वयन की पहल वास्तव में आज आपके ही कर कमलों द्वारा शुरू हो गई है। जिस तरीके से आपने आज ये अप्रेंटिसशिप एम्बेडेड गाइडलाइंस का लोकार्पण किया है, यही इसके क्रियान्वयन की दिशा में ही पहला कदम है जो वोकेशनल एजुकेशन को आगे बढ़ाएगा। अब मैं इस कार्यक्रम के अंत में हमारे विश्वविद्यालय अनुदान आयोग परिवार के अध्यक्ष प्रोफेसर DP सिंह को साहब को आमंत्रित करूंगा, मगर उसके पहले एक छोटा सा अनाउंसमेंट मैं पुनः करना चाहूंगा। हमने ट्विटर पे एक हैशटैग क्रिएट किया है, #NEP ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग इंडिया। तो सभी पार्टिसिपेंट, जितने भी लोग हमसे जुड़े हुए हैं इस समय, आप सभी से अनुरोध है कि इस हैशटैग पे अपना कमेंट ट्वीट करें और आप जो फोटोग्राफ्स देख रहे हैं उसको भी ट्वीट करें। I once again request all the participants to tweet their comments or photos who are watching this conclave at the hashtag NEP Transforming India. अब मैं UGC के अध्यक्ष प्रोफेसर DP सिंह साहब को उनके क्लोजिंग रिमार्क्स और वोट ऑफ थैंक्स के लिए सादर आमंत्रित करता हूँ।
माननीय मंत्री जी, माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी, माननीय सचिव जी, हमारे साथ में देख रहा हूं कि AICT के हमारे सम्मानित चेयरमैन प्रोफेसर नगेश्वर जी और पूरा रात्रि जागरण करके हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं प्रोफेसर मंजू भार्गव जी और पूरे देश भर के संस्थानों के अभी भी हमारे कुलपति साथीगण, प्राचार्यगण, शिक्षाविद, विभिन्न स्टेटरी बॉडीज के मेंबर सेक्रेटरी और चेयरपर्सन, ये सभी जुड़े हुए हैं। मैं सबसे पहले तो आप सभी का इस सत्र में भी अभिनंदन करता हूँ और साधुवाद भी देता हूँ। मैं तो माननीय मंत्री जी का मार्गदर्शन हमको मिल चुका है और उससे पहले माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी ने बहुत अच्छे तरीके से जो हमारी ये गाइडलाइंस यूजीसी की निकली है, जिसके आपके कदमों के द्वारा आज इसका लोकार्पण हुआ है तो देश के सामने, और जैसा कि हमारे प्रोफेसर रजनीश जैन साहब ने बताया कि एक तरह से क्रियान्वयन जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने स्वयं आह्वान किया है और उसकी शुरुआत बिल्कुल हो गई है और ये गाइडलाइंस अब देश को समर्पित है और आज ही ये हमारी वेबसाइट पे अपलोड भी हो जाएगी, जिसका लाभ पूरे विश्वविद्यालय महाविद्यालय उठा सकते हैं और इसका पूरा रोजगार पर शिक्षा, स्किल डेवलपमेंट, एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी, इस पर बहुत बड़ा इसका रोल रहेगा इन तरह की गाइडलाइंस का। अमित खरे साहब का रोल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहा है, वो बड़े फोकस्ड और बहुत ही टैलेंटेड हमारे ऑफिसर हैं और बहुत कम शब्दों में काफी कुछ चीजें कहते हैं, बताते हैं, करते हैं, तो उनका मार्गदर्शन हमारे पूरे इसमें रहा है वेबिनार के। माननीय मंत्री जी, मैंने कुछ घंटे पहले ये जानकारी हासिल करने की कोशिश की कि हमारे कितने लोगों ने सोशल मीडिया पे आज का ये कार्यक्रम देखा है माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का उद्बोधन हुआ, तो लगभग 3 घंटे पहले जो हमको जानकारी मिली है वो 8,49,000 लोग इसको केवल सोशल मीडिया पे देख चुके हैं, जो कि ट्विटर है, फेसबुक है, यूट्यूब है, बाकी डीडी न्यूज और दूसरे चैनल्स के माध्यम से तो करोड़ों लोगों ने देखा होगा। तो ये दर्शाता है कि राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का यशस्वी नेतृत्व, आपका कुशल मार्गदर्शन, राज्य मंत्री जी का सहयोग, ये सब मिलकर के भारत की का शिक्षा का जो एक नया इतिहास लिखा जा रहा है उसके साक्षी बन रहे हैं और लोगों को माननीय मंत्री महोदय तो मेरी सब लोगों कुलपतियों से, महाविद्यालय के प्राचार्यों से, शिक्षाविदों से बहुत चर्चा होती है, एक लोगों में विश्वास जागृत हुआ है, लोगों को लग रहा है कि जो कुछ कहा जा रहा है वो किया जा रहा है, क्योंकि लोगों ने महसूस किया है कि कथनी और करनी में बहुत बड़ा अंतर रहता है और इसलिए बहुत सी चीजें कागजों पर होती है और वो क्रियान्वित नहीं हो पाती। लेकिन जैसा कि आपने आह्वान किया है, जैसा कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी सुबह कहा है, हम लोग पूरी तरह से प्रतिबद्ध हैं, कटिबद्ध हैं और समयबद्ध तरीके से इस राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के जो विभिन्न पहलू हैं उनके क्रियान्वयन की दिशा में जो कुछ भी अपेक्षित है वह हम करने की कोशिश करेंगे और पूरे डेडिकेशन के साथ करेंगे, पूरे समर्पण भाव के साथ करेंगे, क्योंकि ये राष्ट्र की पीढ़ियों के निर्माण के लिए, नए भारत के निर्माण के लिए, आत्मनिर्भर भारत के निर्माण के लिए और विश्व में इस भारत को एक राष्ट्र के रूप में, एक विकसित राष्ट्र के रूप में, एक पूरी तरह से संपन्न और समग्र ज्ञान से ओतप्रोत जो राष्ट्र है उसके रूप में स्थापित करने की बात है। और इसमें पूरा देश, जैसा कि आपने कहा है कि 99% लोगों ने इसके बारे में, और सही में चाहे वो ट्विटर हो, सोशल मीडिया हो, चाहे वो आर्टिकल्स हो, पेपर्स में इतनी भरमार है इसके बारे में और इतना लोगों, क्योंकि ये राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति सर्वसमावेशी है, सब कुछ छूती है, इसमें विद्यार्थियों के लिए, इसमें शिक्षकों के लिए, इसमें संस्थाओं के लिए, इसमें अभिभावकों के लिए, और जैसा आप बार बार कहते हैं, मुझे लगता है कि ये परिवार केवल शिक्षा परिवार नहीं है, ये घर घर से जुड़ा हुआ परिवार है और हर घर में हमारी उस तरह से पहुंच है। तो इसका अभिप्राय ये हुआ कि जो कुछ भी लिखा जा रहा है, देखा जा रहा है, सुना जा रहा है, जो रिएक्शंस आ रहे हैं वह ये इंगित करते हैं कि जो पूरा का पूरा माता पिता हैं, अभिभावक हैं, शिक्षक हैं, शिक्षाविद हैं, संस्थाएं हैं, विद्यार्थी हैं, सबको लग रहा है कि शिक्षा नीति में ये हमारे लिए है, हमारे लिए और हमारे अच्छे के लिए, हमारे उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए है, कि भारत को सशक्त करने के लिए है, महाशक्ति के रूप में विश्व में स्थापित करने के लिए है। तो ये लोगों का विश्वास मुझे लगता है कि बहुत बड़ी बात है और ये अपने आप नहीं आता माननीय मंत्री महोदय, उसके लिए जो कुछ राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर प्रयास हो रहे हैं माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के द्वारा, आपके द्वारा, राज्य मंत्री जी के द्वारा, आपकी पूरी टीम के द्वारा, उससे ये विश्वास अर्जित हुआ है हम लोगों ने किया है। तो उससे आगे भी इस विश्वास को बनाए रखने के लिए ये हमारे लिए चुनौती है और हम लोग इसको चुनौती को स्वीकार करते हैं कि जो आपकी अपेक्षाएं हैं उसके अनुरूप हम इसको क्रियान्वयन की दिशा में आगे करेंगे। हमने तो ऑलरेडी, जैसा ही आपने कहा था, उसी तरह जैसे ही 29 जुलाई 2020 जो शिक्षा जगत में एक ऐतिहासिक अवसर था और इतिहास में एक नया अध्याय जुड़ा राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के माध्यम से, तत्काल उसके पश्चात हमने सभी विश्वविद्यालयों और महाविद्यालयों को लिख दिया था कि इसका पूरा प्रचार प्रसार करें सोशल मीडिया पे करें, वेबिनार्स आयोजित करें। अब उन्हें आज के बाद इसका पूरा सारांश निकाल करके हम संक्षिप्त का बना करके सभी विश्वविद्यालयों और महाविद्यालयों को भेजेंगे सार संक्षिप्त, और उनसे अपेक्षा करेंगे कि इसके आलोक में हर स्तर पे वो लोग अपने विश्वविद्यालय के स्तर पर, महाविद्यालय के स्तर पर कार्य करें, और क्षेत्र जोन वाइज और स्टेट वाइज हम विश्वविद्यालयों को चुनेंगे जहां पर कि हम लोग खुद वेबिनार्स इस बारे में कराएंगे। तो मुझे लगता है कि भविष्य की दिशा आज तय हो रही है, हमें किस तरह से करना है। मुझे खुशी है कि जितने विद्वानों से, चाहे वो हमारा डॉक्टर कश्मीर से लेकर के उनका मार्गदर्शन रहा हो या जो दूसरे सत्र हो, जिन लोगों से हमने अपेक्षा की, और कम समय का 2-3 दिन के समय के उसी में हम लोगों ने अंतराल में ही ये बड़ा कार्यक्रम आयोजित किया है, और उसमें सभी लोगों ने, विद्वानों ने इसमें बहुत सहयोग किया है। हमारे प्रोफेसर अनिल शास्त्री जी हम मौजूद हैं जिन्होंने इसकी अध्यक्षता की, एक सत्र की। प्रिंसिपल साइंटिफिक एडवाइजर टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया प्रोफेसर विजय राघवन साहब ने भी बहुत कम समय में हमारा ये आमंत्रण स्वीकार किया। बहुत श्रेष्ठ वक्ता इसमें रहे, जिससे कि हम सभी को लाभान्वित हम लोग हुए। विश्वविद्यालयों की ओर से, महाविद्यालयों की ओर से और शिक्षाविदों की ओर से भी कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशंस आई, उन सबको हम लोगों ने नोट किया है। उसके बेसिस पर पूरा इसकी एक प्रतिवेदन हम बना करके जल्द ही आपके सम्मुख रखेंगे और पूरे विश्वविद्यालयों के साथ शेयर करेंगे। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की जो विशेष बातें थी, जिनकी चर्चा आपने भी की है, मैं थोड़ा सा संस्थान भी से जुड़े हुए हैं, उन्हें ये रिट्रेट करना चाहूंगा कि उन्हें प्रमुख रूप से इंटरेस्ट, एबिलिटी एंड डिमांड्स मैपिंग इज ऑफ अटमोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंस, इसकी चर्चा की। और उन्होंने कहा कि वी मस्ट डेवलप द एबिलिटी ऑफ क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, इनोवेट आइडियाज, पैशन, फिलोसफी ऑफ एजुकेशन, पर्पज ऑफ एजुकेशन इन अवर स्टूडेंट्स। कुल मिलाकर के दोनों ही चीजें होनी चाहिए विद्यार्थियों में, वो उसकी उन्होंने चर्चा की। और उन्होंने कहा कि अवर एजुकेशन मस्ट बी इंक्वायरी, डिस्कवरी एंड एनालिसिस बेस्ड। He also emphasized that India can give solutions to talent and technology issue of the world. तो ये एक चुनौती उन्होंने प्रस्तुत की है देश के विद्वानों के सामने, वैज्ञानिकों के सामने, शिक्षाविदों के सामने, हम सभी शैक्षणिक संस्थानों के सामने, कि जो टैलेंट है, टेक्नोलॉजी है, उसके जो भी सॉल्यूशंस हैं वो विश्व को देने के लिए हमको आगे आना चाहिए। और दूसरा उन्होंने एक और बात प्रमुखता से कही है, वो टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में, जो कि वी हैव टू चेंज अवर माइंडसेट टुवर्ड्स फ्यूचरिस्टिक टेक्नोलॉजी एंड कनेक्ट द लास्ट पर्सन स्टैंडिंग इन द सोसाइटी। मुझे याद आ रहा है इस समय पर माननीय मंत्री जी कि महात्मा गांधी जी एक बात हमेशा कहा करते थे, वो कहा करते थे कि मैं आपको एक जंतर देता हूं कि जब कोई स्कीम या योजना आप लागू कर रहे हैं या सोच रहे हैं, तो ये देख लें कि जो अंतिम छोर पर खड़ा हुआ व्यक्ति है, वहां तक वो बात कैसे पहुंचेगी, उससे लाभ क्या होगा। वो ऐसी ही कुछ बातें माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कही है। उन्होंने प्राचीन और नूतन के समागम की बात की है। और एक और जो महत्वपूर्ण बात जिसको आपने भी कहा है, मैं संस्थान प्रमुखों से ये कहना चाहूंगा कि इसके लिए हमें माहौल बनाना पड़ेगा अपने संस्थानों में। ये मूल्यपरक शिक्षा, जीवन के मूल, शाश्वत जीवन मूल, पर्यावरण और संपोष विकास के प्रति चिंता एकदम नहीं आती है। इसके लिए पूरा माहौल परिसरों में बनाना पड़ता है। और इसलिए उन्होंने कहा कि हम विश्व मानव बनाए, we should develop the global citizens, but at the same time वो deeply rooted in India's history, heritage and composite culture में भी वो रहने चाहिए और अपनी जमीन से जुड़े रहना चाहिए, अपने परिवेश से जुड़ा रहना चाहिए। ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। और इसलिए जो कुछ हमारा एंशिएंट विजडम है, ट्रेडिशनल विजडम है, इंडिजिनस नॉलेज है, देशज ज्ञान है, परंपरागत जो हमारा ज्ञान है, उसके बारे में भी लोगों की जानकारी होनी चाहिए। और जो कुछ नया है मॉडर्न साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में पूरे विश्व में, उसको भी हमें स्वीकार करना चाहिए। तो इस पूरे ज्ञान के आलोक में और आपका जो मार्गदर्शन आज हमको पूरे दिन भर मिला है, उसके आलोक में हमें भविष्य में नई दिशाएं तय करनी होगी और उसके लिए पूरा रोड मैप बनाना होगा। मैं इस अवसर पर माननीय मंत्री जी आपके कुशल मार्गदर्शन के लिए, माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी की उपस्थिति, गवा में उपस्थिति और उनके मार्गदर्शन के लिए आपके प्रति मैं कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करता हूं। और मैं कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करता हूं सभी अपने जो चेयरपर्सन्स हैं डिफरेंट सेशंस के, उनके लिए, और जो हमारे स्पीकर्स हैं, और सबसे ज्यादा पूरे देश भर के संस्थानों के कुलपतियों, प्राचार्यों, शिक्षाविदों, स्टेटरी बॉडीज के चेयरपर्सन्स, मेंबर सेक्रेटरी, विभिन्न केंद्र और राज्य सरकार के अधिकारियों और विद्यार्थियों जिन्होंने कि इस कार्यक्रम को सफल बनाया देखा है, उन सबके प्रति मैं कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करता हूं। और यूजीसी की ओर से ये मैं आपको और पूरे देश के शिक्षा जगत को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि जो कुछ भी अपेक्षाएं राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के आलोक में यूजीसी से होंगी, उसको करने के लिए हम सदैव तत्पर रहेंगे, समर्पण भाव से तत्पर रहेंगे। मेरी जो टीम यूजीसी की है, जिन्होंने कि अहरनिश कार्य करते हुए इसको ये अंजाम दिया है, उन सबके प्रति मैं कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करता हूँ। आप सभी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। माननीय मंत्री जी, आपको विनम्र प्रणाम। मंजूर भार्गव को भी प्रणाम और बाकी सभी जो लोग उपस्थित हैं उनको भी मैं प्रणाम करता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
इसी के साथ ही हम आज के इस कॉन्क्लेव का समापन करते हैं। मैं एमएचआरडी की तरफ से और विश्वविद्यालय अनुदान आयोग परिवार की तरफ से सभी अतिथियों का, सभी वक्ताओं का और सभी गुणीजनों का पुनः धन्यवाद व्यक्त करता हूं और उम्मीद करता हूं कि देशव्यापी राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के प्रचार प्रसार के अभियान में और उसके क्रियान्वयन में आप सभी लोग हमारे सहयोगी बनेंगे। आप सभी को पुनः धन्यवाद।